And we are back with the second round of 8 today. It's going to be VortiX up against Beasty, and we're joined by a very special guest indeed here. Wham! What a pleasure, mate. How are you?
I'm very good, thank you, Myriad. And yeah, it's an honor to be here. Always in for watching, casting some of the best players in Age of Empires 4.
And you're doing great as well. I saw in your stream the other day when you were casting last weekend. Really good, man. Like some really good casting, and you made great of the game. So it's awesome to have you here.
Oh, well, thank you. I mean, it is, for me, I genuinely enjoy it. I think Age of Empires 4 is a great game to cast. There's so much you can go through as a caster. So much about the civilizations, about the matchups, about the players. And I'm sure we're going to be able to dive really deep into that with Beasty and VortiX here. So, very excited to see what they have to bring.
100%, right? And it's already looking pretty spicy because, I mean, I think you're seeing what I'm seeing, right? My eyes, although I do sometimes wear glasses, I don't think they're this bad yet. That's Ottomans, wham. What?
It is, yeah. And, you know, I always think when I go into a series, especially a best of 7, you got to bring your best civs into immediately because you want to get a head start, and they're both doing that. Beasty on China, VortiX on Ottomans. We're going to see a really, really important game to start off here.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? It's normally in these opening games, there's sort of different drafting strategies when it comes to this, but I do agree with you. Generally, getting that early tempo in the draft is really, really nice. And there's enough variance in the balance today to the extent where, I mean, the best of 7, it happens a little bit. We saw it last set. Anatant himself mentioned it in his Abbasid game. Throwaway games can happen, but not too often, really. And there's not much of a justification to, like, you wouldn't have more than one throwaway game at most in a best of 7, right? Because generally, with how many civs there are available, you can usually get at least a playable matchup in most cases, right?
Yeah, I would say so. And even if you're getting like Abbasid versus, I don't know, a China, I think that is still winnable. You don't, I would say, ever want to give away a civ unless you have something in mind for the future. Every game counts. You know, you only need 4 to win, right? So it's really, really important that you put your best foot forward. And yeah, I mean, both of these players are doing that. And we haven't seen Ottomans that much. B was able to play them, but didn't get them through. VortiX is the one who's running it out of the gate today, so excited to see that.
For sure. And just like we mentioned, right, when it's this kind of an opening game where you have a top civ against a top civ, this sets a massive tempo for the rest of the draft, because this is the kind of match where you want to make sure you damn win this kind of a game because of the strength of these civs. You do not want to lose with one of these. So that is likely to lead to a firecrackling game here. And I mean, thing is, it's Ottomans, right? And I know in the past you as well have done this, where you lit through Ottomans just as a sort of a bit of an experimentation ritual, and I've done it once or twice too as well. And I don't know about you, but I sorely regret it every time.
I think I would tend to agree, but I think we've gotten to the point where people don't really have as much experience with Ottomans as they do with other civs. China, for example, because they're played so much, and they're not really banned as much anymore, you have a lot of practice with them. Ottomans, VortiX might have not been able to practice with them as much in practice, generally, so maybe he's not as familiar, and I mean, we'll have to see. Maybe he knows exactly what he's doing. I mean, the build order is obviously very sharp. You know, the military school, the age up very fast. He's actually, I would say, on point with this macro currently.
Yeah, I think so as well. Like, this is just a very typical, really solid Ottoman opening. Sometimes we see the 3 on gold instead of the 2, potentially, if they want to get that instant wheelbarrow, maybe with double products as well. But this lends itself slightly to, obviously, slightly earlier production instead, maybe an earlier second military school, although we don't see more stone gathering as of just yet. You know, for Beasty, looking very standard as well. Imperial Academy is now finished in good time. China, of course, ages up way faster than pretty much every other civ in the game. And, I mean, it's probably just going to be pro scouts, right? It's hard to do anything else with China nowadays, it feels like.
It probably will be, but we have to keep in mind that because VortiX has that Spearman out, it's not going to be as fast pro scouts as it typically would be. I would say with China, usually you have 2 people on gold at this time mining so that you can get pro scouts. Beasty is going to have to utilize taxes only in order to get pro scouts, which means he's going to get quite a bit of units out beforehand.
Yeah, it's likely going to be a range opener here for Beasty. Although that makes me wonder though, right? Like, in this situation especially with the space from Ottomans, knowing that there's going to be some space, but not too many, it's not like you're being tower rush or anything crazy like that with like 5 spears, would you just open barracks here instead as Beasty, supervise out like 4 or 5 spearmen, and then you're also covered against the Sipahi instead of the archers?
Yeah, I think that's a really good point, and you definitely can do that as Beasty, and I mean, you called it. That's exactly what Beasty is doing. We can see that at the top of the map here, and I mean, you have a lot of options as Beasty here. You can go very aggressive as well. You can even go archers. You can go horsemen. China has a lot of options, good options, I think.
Dale aiming is starting early here for VortiX. Just going to make it a little bit more annoying for Beasty. He didn't start earlier on, so wasn't able to spread them out as much as you would most likely want to. Stone gathering behind us as well, so it's going to be a bit of a sort of the greedier Ottoman approach, I want to say, or semi-greedy at least. I mean, sometimes we see mill school into mill school with the stone opening in the Dark Age, but I'm not a massive fan of it personally. I think it's a bit too slow. So we see an in-between here from VortiX.
Yeah, and I think we saw VortiX going for that stable, and BC with already has that bow axe means he's going to be able to counter those immediately. He is dropping the stable behind that, which means we're going to see pro scouts very soon. But, you know, I don't think Beasty should be too worried about what VortiX is bringing here. The stable, the double military school, it's going to give Beasty a lot of time to defend his deer packs, and possibly even pressure a little bit as well, although there's not too much, because Ottomans is so condensed immediately.
The game plan here for Beasty, right? The way I see it, I mean, I think it's a tough matchup as it is for any civ against Ottomans, I would say. But the game plan for me, I imagine, is just get those deer back in as quickly as possible, making as few units as possible, and then probably just race the castle as fast as you can and not stick around in feudal more than you need to. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I think I would, and the reason being is just you see the imams from Ottomans as well as the Sipahi. You don't really want to stay in feudal against Sipahi plus imams because you're just getting a lot of value where you have standard horsemen, right? So you want to get Castle Age as fast as possible, ideally.
Yeah, in the past, maybe Beasty as China, you would have been able, of course, at the peak of Pro Scouts. There's a lot of China gameplay where you would invest a lot into feudal and even try to take the opponents there, but obviously now Scouts are slower, Pro Scout is more expensive, and most importantly, I think the decay makes that lose a lot of value now.
Yeah, and one thing to note with China in particular is because you get passive gold from your taxes, you don't really need to keep anybody on gold past getting pro scouts, which means all of that resources that you would typically be on gold is going into other resources, which means you can just pump out units continuously, which means I think Beasty does want to get Castle Age, but he definitely has the room to stay in Feudal Age for quite a while.
Pressure's going to mount up here from VortiX already, with plenty of Sipahi on the field. Beasty did go into that archery range now. He's going to have some military mass here to push away.
Yeah, but I would be cautious if I was Beasty here, because the early fights is where the imams are the strongest. You don't have the archers to one-tap the imams. I think Beasty recognizes that. He just wants to defend, just wants to get his deer packs. Wait until he gets a bigger mass, possibly blacksmith upgrades. Utilizing that gold, that passive gold that he has before he takes a fight. And we're kind of in a situation now where I think both players don't really know what to do here. VortiX wants to be aggressive, Beasty wants to be defensive, but neither wants to really commit to a fight.
Yeah, it's a tough one, isn't it? Because The reasons for Beasty, just like you mentioned, are obvious, right? It's so dangerous against the Ottomans, and you'd rather just get the deer and go back. But even for VortiX, like, yeah, Ottomans is just an incredible civ, but they are just a little bit slow, right? It takes a little while for those schools to really begin pumping. They're very expensive to set up, and China is still a very explosive civilization. I mean, they can go from feudal to castle age in such a fast turnaround time. It's almost disgusting, I want to say, even now after so many nerfs. But even Ottomans can be susceptible to a castle timing here if they're not careful, because at the end of the day, there's nothing impressive about the Ottoman eco, if you don't count the military schools at all, right?
Interesting, and we're seeing a Barbican on the gold from Beasty, so this does kind of signal he wants to go for that castle age maybe a little bit faster than we would suspect, just, you know, because he wants to mine that gold without pressure, right? Although VortiX spots that, and he's possibly going for it here, although Beasty has quite a lot. I'm not sure if he's going to be able to take this. VortiX, that is.
Yeah, it's a tough position to fight as well. It's difficult for the Sipahi to find a solid wraparound. They're going to look to go to the north onto the villages, but plenty of spears are in position to prevent significant damage. And yeah, there's not much VortiX can do here, right? We're speaking about, it's all because of that slow startup. It takes a while for Ottomans to get out a significant number of military units in the feudal age. Once they do, it's amazing, but Beasty understanding this timing quite well. And I mean, with the Barbican up, that's going to keep him very, very safe.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that we have to know the couple of things here. Number one, BC is still going pro scouts. He still wants to gather the deer on VorTex's side. Now, VorTex already is gathering the first deer pack, but BC ideally would want to gather the second one, bring it back to his base. And second, VorTex is keeping one villager on stone, which means he isn't as committed as we would think. He wants to probably get that third military school from the 0 points. So he's maybe not interested in all-inning anyway, right?
Yeah, I think so as well, right? And I mean, even as the 200 now for the fourth one that he would get in the castle age, he might look to take the one off stone. Tries to find an angle here on the wood line, but actually it's quite a bit of damage for it. Beasty was ready. I think 2 Sipahi went down there, or at least 1. 2 are left very low HP. Imperial Palace, meanwhile, on the way. A very bold positioning here, quite deep at the front, but I mean, with the Barbican back there, an amazing vision from it too, it should be just fine.
Yeah, it should be, and it kind of seems to me like BC might be going for a timing here with a big Ultra Mass, possibly some Knights in queue afterwards. And VortiX, I mean, he's almost to Castle Age, but it's definitely going to be, there is going to be an opening, I would say, for BC to do some real damage. At the same timing, though, VortiX has gotten that third military school, and if he gets one more Vizier point, he can go for the Janissary Company, which would be a big benefit to any timing he has.
Indeed, the Janissaries make it for Ottomans. It's such an incredible anti-cavalry civilization, but VortiX actually has different plans. He just wants to force some damage, whether Beasty likes it or not. Actually diving under a half-garrison TC here. He's taking a lot of arrow fire here. Veterancy is now officially in for Beasty, supervised by the Imperial official, and these archers now definitely slap. You can see massive damage. He's actually still focusing the archers here. I feel like focusing the Sipahi would probably be better.
Yeah, and the issue is once these spearmen die from Beasty, there's nothing to kill the Sipahi, so you can activate your Fortitude and you can destroy all the ranged mass. VortiX has done that, but at the same time, not too much remaining, and behind it, he is going Castle Age. So, hard to see who got the better end of that fight, but both are going to be in Castle Age soon.
I feel like it kind of has to be VortiX that got the better of it, in my opinion. Like, just completely resetting the archer mass there from Beasty, as well as the spears, feels massive, and VortiX lost a lot as well, but I mean, keeping in mind, he was diving a TC there, and he's actually ahead in destroyed value, which is generally somewhat rare, but obviously the food situation is way more important for Beasty than VortiX, who is always going to have a steady income. But Beasty is so reliant on those deer, right? Which, I mean, after losing so many units, there's not too many left.
Yeah, and as we were talking about before, Beasty's now trying to get this second deer pack, but, you know, he doesn't really have the army to actually secure it, which means he's opting to just mess with VorTex's food, and that's nice and all, but what he really needs is the food in his own base, you know? which is gonna start to run dry. Soon.
The first knight arrives to the gold, idles out quite a few villages, but no pickups, though it was close. Good little deselect micro there from VortiX to save one villager. Meanwhile, Beasty just keeps rallying knights. He's rebuilding that archer mass, and I mean, it must be pretty terrible to go from, what is it, like 20 plus archers back to now reaching 7, soon to be 8 and 9. Relics on the way soon as well.
And I think VortiX had one Imam that survived the fight, so I think he is bringing the first one back to his base, but Beasty does also have a monastery out, has one on the field, and the second one in production, so the thing is Beasty doesn't really have the army to secure these relics, so any relics that he does get is, I would say, maybe a tiny oversight from VortiX, but VortiX is very concerned about aggression.
Yeah, in typical VortiX fashion. Round 2 about to commence soon here. He's rebuilt a considerable mass, plenty of Sipahi, archers as well. The veterancy though is only halfway complete for him, no second range damage either, so this might be a little premature, although with the trade that he got earlier, the mass is kind of on his side here. There's 4 knights, but so many additional Sipahi here for VortiX. They do have veterancy, but not the archers yet, and yeah, maybe biting off a little more than he can chew.
Yeah, definitely, and the Sipahi are just kind of base fighting the knights, which in this kind of mass you can do, but not, you know, the best engagement you want. Although VortiX just has so many at this point, he's willing to take the fight. We might even see that Janissary company come out. The visor point just came in. That would be a huge bonus to VortiX right now. I would love to see that.
Yeah, especially I think the Mangonel is not far off. Yeah, exactly at this moment it popped out. And that's, I mean, back in the day, like, yeah, there it is. This is so nostalgic, man. Back in the day, right, the first Mangonel timing lined up so well with the Vizier points, and it was a horrible death push for so many civs to hold. We've gone full circle.
And think about how many resources you're actually getting. He got 10 Janissaries. I don't know the cost of a Janissary, I should, but it's like 80, 100 or something. So
Yeah,
it's like,
I think you're not far off.
that's like 1,800 resources, which is just mind-blowing. You know, Beasty has to gather that. VortiX just gets that immediately, so a tough timing, I would say.
It is pretty insane, honestly. Like, I mean, there's a reason this civ has what, 85 or 95 bans so far. It's yeah, pretty special. And I just don't know how Beasty can possibly hold this, to be honest, without something like a Nesta B. Maybe if he didn't have that unfortunate fight earlier, but I mean, this mass is just so scary. Although,
yeah, Beasty's trying to go for the Mega now, but the Janissaries are wiping most of those knights out. Maybe an even trade, but I mean, Beasty needs something better than that.
yeah, throws away a few knights for the Mangonel. It's always a nice pickup, but a bit of a price to pay for it. And I mean, this army is not slowing down. When it gets discovered as well, it's gonna fall before it reaches and gives that passive gold. VortiX wrapping around this eastern side to try and hit the wood line yet again. The boar is also on this side for Beasty, so he cancels out this entire eastern side of the map.
Yeah, and you can see how desperate Beasty is for food. He has 300 food per minute consistently going down at this point. I think he has 0 people on food, so a very tough position for him to be in right now. He's like a panic heap, I would say. He has to hold this massive army at the front of his base, behind his base.
Yeah, exactly, and the question is how, right? Like, it's pretty scary. He's re-pivoting, he's reshifting his economy and infrastructure up to the northern side here. Not that he has much of a choice about it, and I imagine VortiX is just gonna wrap around completely around the Barbican to the left side. It's gonna have some way to go. The Barbican sort of makes him have to take a steeper circular path around, and the knight's getting intercepted. Ouch.
Yeah, and I think the issue now is, I mean, there's many issues, but Beasty doesn't really have an army that can take care of 20 Janissaries. He's building knights, which is not, I mean, it's almost the worst unit you can build against VortiX's army, but he doesn't really have a lot of options, right?
Oh, not really. I feel like we desperately need the Nesta Beast here on the defense, but of course it's Imperial Palace instead. He finds a decent choke point to take the fight, but I'm not even sure the choke point favors him, honestly. VortiX just pushes deeper and deeper. Mechter is present, so additional attack speed on this entire army here. And the Sepahi march through with fortitude. There's no front line for Beasty. These archers are getting vacuumed.
Yeah, I mean, Beasty has nothing against the Sepai. I mean, he has the Knights, but those get annihilated, and I think that's basically game one at this point. VortiX taking the early advantage. And, I mean, a tough game for Beasty to lose with China, but you know, it's a best of 7. BC still has a lot of games to make up for this loss.
And at least Ottomans is out the way, which is like, it's like a weight lifted off your chest, I want to say, because now VortiX can no longer look to force Ottomans every single game, which he very well could, I think, on every map. This Civ is incredible, even water maps, I would say. So, you know, this removes a lot of pressure from a drafting perspective. But at the end of the day, like, the other option here was JD, right? Like, you can let through JD on the other side, which I think I understand why Beasty sniped it out instead. I mean, at the end of the day, VortiX did beat Marine Lord with JD against China on this map, right? So I think that might have played on his mind a little bit with, when making the snipe, right?
Definitely, I would say. And, you know, Marine Lord's China is very, very strong. I mean, obviously I would favor China, but it's not the easiest matchup to go as China, because you have to play very, very sharp. Any fight that goes wrong, JD gets level 2, you know, maybe you don't get the deer packs. Very tight matchup for China to play. And, you know, I mean, Beasty's staying in, he has the keep, he's getting some food now, but I think this is more the classic Beasty doesn't want to leave the game. VortiX, you know, maybe he's going to knock on his door, have to kill that Barbican to really get him out of this game. I don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah, Beasty's always been a fighter, and to be fair, in the past he's mounted some incredible comebacks in his career, but the thing is, like, we're facing an out-of-control, fully snowballed Ottoman here after taking a lot of unfortunate fights, and I mean, the military mass tells a very clear story here. It is just, these kind of odds are just insurmountable.
Yeah, they really are, and you are right though, Beasty has overcame the worst of odds, and you know, the best players, you know, you never give up, you never surrender until, you know, it's kind of over. I would say it's kind of over in this game, but
Same.
It's worth trying, possibly. Maybe, you know, VortiX disconnects or something, like...
Yeah, I mean, it could also be a bit of psychological warfare here, right? Like,
yeah.
I have seen VortiX getting slightly annoyed in the past by, you know, people maybe sticking a bit longer in games than really necessary. That might be playing a little bit on Beasty's mind here, right? Just sort of get him slightly riled up, like, oh, wow, why is he not GGing? And we know in the past, this has been confirmed by Beasty, that, you know, psychological warfare is part of his game strategy in a lot of tournaments.
That's a fair point, and I guess, I mean, I've always felt when my opponents, you know, I'm just like, you know, just leave the game, man, the game is over, but maybe I shouldn't be thinking about that, and I should be thinking about the next game. Maybe that's what Beasty is doing, you know? You know, what map should I play? What civ should I pick? What strategy should I do? There's a lot you have to be thinking about in every single game.
It's true. And the decision has already been made by Beasty. Of course, loser does pick the next map game by game, and he opts to take us to the OG Dry Arabia. And a bit of a funky matchup, I want to say. Not sure we've seen this before. I think we've seen it once, but I don't remember the players or the day. I think it was in this tournament, though. Gonna be Rus for Beasty up against VortiX's Golden Horde. And again, we snipe out the JD from VortiX in favor of Golden Horde.
That is interesting. I wonder if Beasty just feels like he needs to take a good civ from VortiX at this point. You know, I'm not sure, but to be fair, I think Rus does have a lot of options against Golden Horde in particular. We might even see a 2TC game from Beasty. And, I mean, JD... maybe he's scared like again against the Zushi JD combo. Like like it could kind of be similar to China. I want to say. I'm not sure.
Yeah, that might be it, right? And I mean, JD against Roos is. I mean, we've seen that today, but again, like it's so there's so many possibilities. I mean, we saw one TC from Anatan's Roos against two TC JD today, so. I mean, that's just one example of how many wacky ways it can go, though typically it is Roos with the 2TC, like you mentioned. So, you mentioned Roos has options here, which I do agree with. Kremlin 2TC seems like the obvious choice to me here, because then you can't get pushed, which is something Golden Horde does so well. And it buys you so much time here as Roos. You think that's the best approach here for Beasty?
I would probably 2TC, but you have. I mean, you can fast castle as well. The issue is, I would say, is horse archers maybe don't do so good against Torgud. I think you could probably go Golden Gate as well. Gives a lot of utility at every stage in the game. Buying the stone, buying the food, in the later stages of the game. But that's the thing about Roos, is that they're one of the civs, in my opinion, that you can almost do anything with them. You can fast castle, you can 2TC, you can play Feudal Age. They're just so versatile, and it's, in my opinion, one of the reasons they're one of my favorite civs, to be honest.
And that's been the case before as well, hasn't it? Even like during Pika Pro Scouts, although it was most often like Pro Scouts horse archers, we've seen some experimentation there as well. Roos has always been like jack of all trades, I want to say, right? Even back during QTC meta when they were like the boogeyman, right? Those were the days. They did play quite a bit of one TC there as well, and just there's a notable flexibility here for Roos, which historically has served them very, very well. Just a very solid economy and a pretty respectable army as well. They do everything well, but they're not the best at anything, right?
Yeah, I would say that's correct. And I would say Roos in particular is one of the civs where you have to kind of scout very well. Because they could go for Abbey, they could go for High Trade House, they could go for Kremlin, they could go for Golden Gate. It's one of the civs where they don't have anything the best, but they also make sure that you're keeping your opponent on your toes in that regard.
Speaking of Abbey against High Trade House, I'm going to ask you about that in a second, because it looks like the game is now on the way. Game 2 of the round of 8 here, the second round of 8. It is VortiX in the color red, now leading by a game, just waiting for the score to be switched. He's playing as the Golden Horde in the south side of Dry Arabia, facing Beasty in the color yellow as the Roos spawning in the north side. And High Trade House Abbey of Trinity, right? When do you go one over the other and why?
It's a tough question. I think both are viable. I would say typically, if it was me, I would go High Trade House on 2TC and Abbey Fast Castle. Just because I think Abbey is very, very strong with the Horse Archer combo right now. And High Trade House is typically a more defensive kind of... You know, the relics are probably, maybe, possibly taken. You know, you need the food because you're going 2TC. You want to be defensive anyway. So I would say, generally, that's the case, but a lot of variation in that.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense to me. I think you're completely right. That's what I would think. Let's see if that's the plan here for Beasty. Looking at the spawns, honestly, it's a pretty rough one for Beasty if he wants to go for 2TC, isn't it? I mean, God, that's actually really bad, I want to say. We got the frontal first deer there alongside the berries. Being next to the berries is nice, but it sucks that it's forward for him. And then I think even worse, the secondary deer is all the way beyond the third wood line for him on the right side there. So that's a rough one.
I'm making a prediction. Beastie is going to go 2TC on the deer pack, on the berries, Kremlin beside it. What do you think?
Yeah, actually, I think you're completely right. That makes so much sense, right? I mean, I think even it depends where he places the Kremlin, but it should be relatively comfortably. The aura should extend to that wood line. But yeah, that seems the most obvious to me, because you can't put a TC there naked. There's no way. Like, I think Golden Horde will lens it without any problems. But if there's a Kremlin next to it, well, I think it's way tougher.
Yeah. Wow, Beasty has 6 scouts? Is that correct?
That is right, yeah. Do you know what this reminds me of? This is like you must have seen this and you've probably done it yourself. This is like Rus against Mali, right? You go like so many scouts in Dark Age to torch the mines.
I mean, we have seen that quite a bit in the past, but the thing is, I want to say that was almost during the animation cancel era. Maybe not, but I feel like VortiX is just going to repair that without any problem. But we'll see.
Is it in range though, right? Like that's what I'm wondering here. Because I mean, with this many scouts, you're if it's not in range, yeah, exactly. You're able to trap the veil, and I mean that feels horrible, doesn't it?
It does, but I think it would be pretty difficult to kill that villager. But I mean, we're gonna see ourselves, right? What goes on here, and Beasty does have quite a bit of time.
It does. The villager's on the way.
He's gonna go for it.
No way. The 10th... Oh, it's trapped. It's done.
It's trapped.
He's done for. It's over.
Wow. And he's gonna get that for sure. So that's...
Yeah.
I mean, one villager at the start of the game. Oh my god, what?
What? Oh no! He cooked himself.
Tragic.
Oh no, he just shifted a little bit and the villager ends up escaping. That's a tilter.
It's a bit of a tilter, yeah, because that was kind of his game plan. I mean, we're gonna maybe see another option for it, but at this point, 36 seconds on the age up, I don't think he's gonna get that opportunity again.
Oh, almost manages to trap it again. This is quite the dance we're witnessing here, everyone. I mean, this is the double villa is like, pick your target.
He's trying to go for it, but VortiX is aware of the game plan here.
Yeah, I mean, this is insane. It's the back and forth there. Is this... I mean, I guess this must be worth it for VortiX. Like, you definitely don't want to lose this Uvu, right? To just scouts,
yeah.
I mean.
I would say it's definitely worth it. And Beasty's not going pro scouts behind this, right? Like, typically, this would be maybe possibly worth it for Beasty if you would go pro scouts, because you're actually utilizing the scouts. But what we do see from Beasty is that option that I was talking about earlier, the 2TC, the full deer pack, that is what he's going to be going for.
Indeed. Kremlin is a touch more conservative than I expected, but I guess it's because of the wood line, right? I mean, if the Kremlin's behind the TC, it's probably still okay, even against an all-in.
I would say so, yeah. I think it's fine. I mean, if I was VortiX, I wouldn't be too aggressive, at least in that spot. The thing is, Golden Horde has a lot of options as well. Their fast castle is not bad at all. Muscovy, Yasak, Relic, Ubus, both really good options, I would say. So it doesn't need to be super aggressive. It is VortiX though, so we might.
Yeah, it's tough, right? Tough to say. Speaking of Relic Ubus, actually, I remember you're the only player I've seen it go recently, at least, and that was, I think, last weekend on King of the Hill, if I'm not mistaken. I don't think it worked out that game, but what do you think of it? Like, it sounds good on paper, but it feels like you're paying a big price for it by not doing Muscovy Yasak, right?
I think it's pretty good, to be honest, against 2TC, but the issue is it takes a lot of time for you to actually get those triple production upgrades, which are the biggest things that you want. They provide the most value. And at the same time, your opponent on 2TC is getting a lot more income, so it's a little bit difficult to actually survive that early game. But Beasty is actually not opting for the TC near the Kremlin. He's actually going for the gold, which is a bit interesting to me. I didn't expect that.
Yeah, I guess the reason is the delay he put upon himself for the scouts, right? Like, he sees that it's like he could maybe force it there, but the amount of idle time going back to the Kremlin and back to the TC might be a bit too much for him. I would assume that's the thought process here.
Yeah, and I hate to be negative, but I'm... It's a rough start, I would say. The scouts didn't really get the value. The 2TC is coming up a little bit slow, right? He does have the option to go for the Diro. if he wants to, which he will need to at some point. So that is something, but it's going to take a while for that eco to really kick in, and VortiX has a lot of options up until then.
Yeah, I do agree. It's all because of that scout delay, right? Just the value wasn't there. Very unfortunate with the shift move. So the villager got unstuck. Nice push on the deer though, right up close to the Kremlin. Bring a hunting cabin there as well. Barracks as a follow-up here for Beasty. Oh no, pushed away that one unfortunately.
Yeah. And if you take a look at VorTX's macro, 17 on food, 7 on gold, to me, this looks like a fast capital. We only have 2 ultras, so not a heavy commitment into feudal. I wonder what age up we're gonna see, to be honest.
I mean, I hope we see Radicubus, just because it's so rare, and I do agree with you. Like the triple production upgrades are genuinely insanely strong, but also crazy expensive, especially nowadays compared to before. So it feels so difficult to get them, and I don't think you're ever really able to greed for them either, right? Like I think you always want at least one stockyard upgrade first to get decent income from them, and then obviously ideally you want to have a good amount of Tor goods present all the time, and then you have a bunch of important upgrades that also cost stone as well, right?
Yeah. You can get the Karash Edict, I like to get as well. It gives you 3 Karash, and you can also get the Karash upgrade in the meantime, which does provide a decent bit of value, but it's only... The triple production is better, I would say. You're only getting that because you need to survive, for the time being, I would say.
Yeah. Do you think the Karash Edict is worth it? Considering you
so.
can produce them.
I mean, the alternatives are increased production and more health, right?
Yep.
I mean, the increased production is good, but at the same time, I would say you should just build more productive buildings, right?
Yeah, that's true. That makes sense. Yeah, there's actually even the military academy, the upgrade that boosts production speed. Gordon Hood has it as well, but it's named something else, and it actually costs stone as well, right? Or only stone, I think.
Although VortiX is going for Muscovy Yasak, so we're not getting that today, unfortunately. But but at the same time, Beasty aging as well, so both of these players are going to be going to Castle Age pretty fast, and actually Beasty is going to be the one to hit it first. And I wonder, are we going to see horse archers here?
I don't know what it is with you guys and horse archers, honestly. I've seen, like, it seems like everyone's going horse archers, which I think there's a time and a place, but I feel like I see it fall flat more often than not. But I might be mistaken in that regard. The thing is, like, especially against Muscovy, yes, like as you mentioned at the start, right? It's a bit rough, no?
Yeah, I would tend to agree. So I would say probably Expo Spearman, Expo Men at Arms, Expo Knight. But Beasty did go Abbey, so he is going to try to get the relics, and it's going to be a little bit difficult. If you look at the army value, VortiX quite a bit ahead at this point.
Yeah, for sure, right? Just the constant pressure here mounting up, idle time left and right on the deer, on the gold here. And Abbey, yeah, if we can get like 3 relics here, this could be pretty nice. But the question is, how are we going to get 3 relics, right? It's a rough one, because the military presence is significant. VortiX is just not using nearly as much food. I mean, he could even be on board if he wants, honestly, but hasn't opted for it yet.
Beasty is trying to get that top rock. He's bringing that back now. He might be able to get that, although VortiX is heading there. He's got the bottom one with his army. At the same time, VortiX is going Keshex, and the idea being Muscovy Yasak gives them more armor, right? So when you go Muscovy Yasak, ideally you want to go heavy armored units, because the bonus applies to Men-at-Arms, Keshex. You want to utilize that as much as possible, right? Yeah,
for sure. That is exactly why you go the Muscovy Yasak. And Beasty's food situation is starting to get worrying, right? He's unable to fully access this food that was kind of supposed to be secured by the Kremlin, but obviously not really. And those starting berries are starting to go very thin as well. And where's the next destination? We have a berries in the corner. That's okay. And we have a deer back to the far right on the opposite side, which, again, like you hate to see. Ideally, with UTC, you want to condense yourself as much as possible to limit the areas where you're exposed. But if your next food sources are on opposite sides of the map, that feels rough.
It does, and I mean, Beasty's getting 1-2 relics at this point, but I mean, you're right, the food situation is the pain point for him, and there's no easy solution for him. 16 on food at the moment, but that is going to come down very, very fast. And he's forced to, I mean, he's putting everybody on wood at this point, but he needs to take those berries, he needs to take those deer at some point. And even now, VortiX finding that relic, so he's not even going to get that back home.
Beasty, so be careful here. He should be looking to drop the relic and escape, but I think he's distracted on the front side as well, so the warrior monk is going to fall. Distracted at the front here. Even the berries here are unsafe to be gathered. Plenty of spears on the field for Beasty. Good amount of warrior monks as well, but there's a very high archer count on the field for VortiX as well. Not all of them in one place. He has spread himself a bit thin around the map to ensure no too many relics go over to Beasty.
Yeah, and Beasty doesn't really have a good counter to these ultras at the moment. He is getting a better eco at this point. He's getting a massive foam transition, which is, I mean, out of necessity at this point, right? But it's becoming, like, he's giving basically all map control up for that.
Yeah, that ends up being the 2TC life sometimes, and it is the case in this game. If you're just unable to take that good fight that buys you the necessary space to either go out on external food or maybe secure a big gold later, which obviously isn't too relevant this game, but the food most certainly is, then you end up in this position completely turtle-shelled in your base, which sometimes isn't the end of the world if you're scaling very comfortably and your opponent is super all-in. But VortiX isn't super all-in. We saw a bunch of stockyards already, and now he's going to look to take the ball. He's having really good relic control behind this. He hasn't taken bad fights yet. So VortiX is playing really clean here.
He is. He's playing very on top of his game. I would say the one concern for VortiX, despite having this massive army, which, you know, is a very good position for him, he doesn't really have, like that Muscovy Yazak hasn't really done all that much, and his stone income is not super impressive. So it is going to be much more difficult for him to actually get those really important upgrades if this fight doesn't go well for him.
It actually looks like he didn't even go for a third Uvu, if I'm not mistaken. If I look at the minimap, it looks like it's just a 2, and I think also the lack of Karash is a little concerning, right? I mean, I feel like you always want to have at least a few for that extra armor, right?
I would say so, but at the same time, like, I don't think he even has a Barak, so...
Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing. It's like VortiX has had enough, though. He's gonna look to force the issue here on the second TC. Gets a good amount of torch damage, but there it is. The militia have been called in, hand cannonades as well as the Kremlin Gremlins. They're gonna push him away for now. Of course, they're gonna lose health constantly.
Yeah, and as we mentioned before, Beasty just does not have a counter against these ultras, and he's trying to take them bit by bit with the TC, a bit with the expos, but he really needs, you know, some knights possibly, maybe some horsemen, because there's not a lot to take care of these ultras at the moment, and VortiX is at 31 ultras. Hard for him to kill that.
Especially with the additional damage they're gonna get from the Khan's arrow upon the fight beginning. They're gonna absolutely melt through his spears even faster than most other archers would. Plenty of warrior monks though, and Saint's Blessing is not to be underestimated, especially with the Abbey of Trinity. Although it feels hard for those warrior monks to even connect effectively against so many archers. Yeah, VortiX...
Yeah, and you can see how hesitant Beasty is to take that fight, right?
Yeah, understandably so. I mean, the mass disadvantage is just very significant, and VortiX is just exercising a really good patience here, I want to say, which I think it has been a bit of a shortfall for him in the past. Sometimes he might be a bit over-eager for the dive, but here I think he's playing this exquisitely, waiting out for most of the militia to go low HP, showing great distancing here with the archers to make sure that buys time for the Torguds and the Keshiks to connect, which now, of course, they do. Once the spearman mass has been thinned out, only 4 left on the field for Beasty. Not many crossbows either, and the dive is fully underway.
Yeah, and VortiX is going through the throat. I mean, he has almost double the army value here, really trying to kill Beasty at this point because he sees this farm economy. He says, well, that is so greedy. I want to kill you now, but Beasty is actually defending. The army from VortiX is thinning, and VortiX is on the retreat now.
Yeah, impressive hold there by Beasty. The double TC fire combined with still respectable damage from the militia hand cannoneers means that VortiX again may have bitten off a little more than he can chew there. Right, it's typical Causticus, man. We praise him for his patience and his picking his moments, but then it just so happens that it doesn't work out, as it looks like it's a good moment to go in. I feel like we need some Karash right now. Like it's, I think, especially if we're looking to dive and punish this 2TC play, we really want that bonus armor, surely.
And this is where the Karash Edict comes in. If he had a little bit more stone, he could get that without the Barak, because they're saving that 150 wood, which is so impactful, right?
It's true, right? We would love... we just need a third Uvu as well for it.
Yeah, we do. We definitely do. I mean, VortiX still has the 3 sacred sites, and I think he might have gotten 2, maybe 3 relics. So the situation is still a little bit messy, I want to say, on both ends. But it's much tighter than it was 5 minutes ago.
Absolutely. We can have a little check just at the click of a button on the bottom left, just to see exactly what the relic split is. I would assume 2 for Beasty, 3 for VortiX. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, you know, I mean, he went Abbey, so you'd expect this, but for 2TC, it's normally hard. So, you know, I think it's okay for Beasty. It's about as good as you could hope for here. But the army continues knocking, but you can see the numbers are way more even now. So Beasty shouldn't be too displeased with himself.
Oh, VortiX is going imp, right?
Yeah, I think you're right. It's just piling up.
And he's in Beasty's base at the same time. I swear he hit imp. I'm not sure what age up was saying, stone armies. But he's on the retreat, and he kind of has to, because stone armies is surprising too. No?
It is. It's like, I don't think it's good anymore, honestly. Like, I think you always go for Saharan network, not Saharan, Yam network trade. Like, unless you have like 4 relic Uvus, ideally 5, honestly, like, you just can't support that stone production, considering you need so much stone as this Civ for. Like, you'd much rather have triple upgrades than spend stone on the golden tent with stone armies, right? Surely. And the Yam network, constant gold income, you can't complain about that.
Definitely, and suddenly, I mean, VortiX is going imp, he does have the sacred sites, but Beasty is on the aggression, and if you look at the map, VortiX does not really have that safe, secure food income that Beasty has. He's on the bull, he's on the deer, he's on the berries, which means if he's not able to maintain this map control, VortiX is going to be in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, absolutely. And he's in no position to hold these sacred sites either. It almost looked like he was playing for a sacred site type victory for a while there, but obviously the imp turnaround completely goes against that now, and he's going to look to buy himself plenty of time here with this mass raid, with the Keshiks as well as the Torgud. Good defenses from Beasty though, right? We have the walls in position, the only easy entry is through this Kremlin, so makes VortiX think twice. Beasty's going to force the issue though.
He is, and this is a crazy game. It's very concerning for VortiX at this point. Like, he is gonna go imp, but like, it doesn't like imp into GG. Like, I don't know what else to think here.
Yeah, I think this might have been a bit of a misread of the situation here for VortiX. I mean, this is a lot of army here for Beasty, and soon enough, I think the warrior monks will join the fray as well. And that's gonna make it even worse here for Beasty. Maybe the dive is a bit of a zealous here, potentially. There's a lot of crossbows going down very quickly here. Focus fire, good job with that by VortiX to go onto the crossbowman as well. And it looks like at least this initial mass will be wiped out.
It's very close,
maybe not, though. Yeah.
It's very close, and Beasty didn't even need to do this. Obviously, he doesn't have, God vision, but there's a lot of other places Beasty could be attacking. Even with that being said, still, Beasty is in a very, very strong position. He still has more army value. His food eco is amazing at this point. He's denying the sacred sites. VortiX had 3, now he has none. Beasty actually has 1, possibly 2 soon. So the game is completely switched.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely think Beast even now still has the lead for all the reasons you mentioned. Even more farms coming up behind this as well. It is a bit of a tricky spot being an age down like this, especially Imp to Castle Age, because like, what do you do as Beastie now? I mean, it feels like you have to remass quite a lot here. Like, you can't go Imp yet, right?
I think Beastie probably feels that, but if you look at the army value, if you look at the resources, if he had God Vision, I would say you can just age here. He's getting 2,000 food per minute, 7k army value. He's gonna get Imp in 1 minute, And I don't think there's any chance that Beastie dies in this position right now.
VortiX is going to look to re-engage from the same angle as before. But you're right, the army from Beastie, even though an age down, is still very considerable here. VortiX opts to back off though. Oh, changes his mind yet again. Now looks to go in. But yeah, he's going to see this massive infantry army and he might think twice. Yeah.
And VortiX is really going to have to rely on the archers to do heavy, heavy lifting in this position because, I mean, that's the only way he can get good value at this point. They're all Imp archers. He is getting the Uvu upgrade as well, so he is trying to play the late game a little bit more, not trying to kill Beastie at this point, but he still, I would say, have to get some value with this army, and he's getting a little bit, but is it enough? I'm not sure.
I'm not sure either. I mean, you could have potentially even dropped a second TC at some stage here for VortiX and play just a little bit slower. But then again, like, when it comes to late games, yeah, Golden Horde has a great late game for sure, especially if you're able to get in the triple production, but is it better than Rus? I'm not so sure.
I mean, it's very tight, and I mean, if you look at this army too, and Beastie is not slowing down at all. I mean, he's continuing to push forward, so Beastie doesn't even want to play, doesn't want to let VortiX get to that stage, right? And behind this, Beastie is going Imp as well, so this is not an all-in by any means, and Beastie might even pull back here, but deciding not to, I'm being...
Oh, what's also shocking to me is just, it makes me wonder whether this is actually bugged or not, is not a single economic upgrade for VortiX outside of Wheelbarrow, which I think at this stage, like this late in the game, is I think definitely a bit of a blunder, right? I mean, yeah, it's actually not a single one, not even the stone grazing or whatever it's called, something like that. It kind of hurts, and you can see it manifested in his income. It's not very impressive.
Yeah, I think people say that me and Poppypaw don't get eco upgrades. I think we need to look at VortiX a little bit more, Maybe once we call him out for that, he'll start to do it, Because his idle TC time is pretty good this game, I would say.
True, like it's actually way better than we used to. Spaskaya Tower going up on that large gold on the left, and yeah, I mean Spaskaya instead of high armory, typically high armory is better, but I think Beastie, like, he's probably in such a good position now that he doesn't even need to rely on the siege. And just having that gold nice and secure, not needing to worry about it. It's not like VortiX is going to push that position anytime soon. This is sort of the safer approach, I guess.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think Beastie just feels, I just want to have safe gold. I just want to be able to push the map, just A-move down the middle with my, 2.6k food. I think he realizes that VortiX's economy is not as strong as his, so if he can just A-move with his, all the upgrades in the game, university upgrades, VortiX is just not going to be able to match him. And I think when Beastie gets those upgrades, that's probably what we're going to see, but we have some time for that.
And lead crossbow upgrade, nearly complete. third ranged armor, second priority here for Beasty. Only now is, a significant amount of gold starting to come in for Beasty after securing the 8k on the left side of the map. So ideally, Beasty still wants to wait out, to get elite infantry tactics, incendiary arrows before taking a fight. So he might look to slow down slightly here.
Yeah. But at the same time, Beasty has 200 population, 11 horsemen in queue, almost 4k food at the moment. So, I mean, his eco is so good. He has 200 population. He has a lot of options, but fighting, so that he can spend those resources is another good option for him, I would say.
I was gonna say, right, like in this position, what do you think? Would you rather just keep banking up and make sure your army is as strong as possible? Or do you force the issue and fight, let's say, without all your unit takes, but actively trade out, because you're 200 pop and keep spending the res, remass into Streltsy? What do you think is better?
It's a tough decision, and even now you can see that VortiX is getting incendiary arrows. So if BC does take the fight, he's going to be at a deficit in the university upgrades, but I mean, I would say you have to take the fight just because, I mean, look at his food income. Like, he literally has 6k food. Like, you want to be spending that as much as possible, especially if you think your opponent is not in a good position. You want to utilize that as much as possible, and BC is going for that option. He's going for the fight in the middle there. Bottom.
Yeah, right as some horsemen seep in, well, Beasty doesn't let himself get distracted. He's gonna go in, but the timing is a bit rough here because the incendiary arrows is now through, whereas Beasty hasn't even begun a university upgrade at this point in time, and these archers are actually massacring the men-at-arms very quickly. Saint's Blessing is in, but the massive surround from behind with the cavalry. Meanwhile, militia are caught in the base. Beasty's gonna get wiped.
Yeah, he is, but at the same time, I think expected, like, VortiX has he has incendiary arrows, he has Muscovy Yasak, he has imp upgrades. Beasty does have that resource bank that we talked about. That is what he's going to rely on to remass here and push again. VortiX has 72 villagers, BC has 132. So this is going to be like a Zerg versus a Protoss in the sense, I'm just going to be attacking you over and over and over again until you die.
Very good analogy here, and yeah, I mean, Beasty took a bit of damage from those horsemen. 10 have gone down. Not quite 10, I think a few more went earlier in the game, but it's going to slow him down slightly. But now we see the kind of dream composition starting to manifest, right? The Streltsy with the Boyar's Fortitude horsemen. This is exactly what Roos wants to play for. I mean, ideally you want to replace the horsemen with knights, but most games that's unrealistic, right?
Yeah, I would say especially in this case, but I mean, again, VortiX is at 160 population. This army is super scary for VortiX, but it's basically all that he has at this point. Down to 150. He's kind of winning this fight. I mean, he is retreating at the same time, but kind of winning, I would say, but it's really all that he has, and he really needs to win this.
Yeah, he does. Like, he can't remass nearly at the same pace that Beasty can. His army is still superior, and Beasty, what is happening? The Mystic with the Streltsy, or did he just want to get in position to stand his ground? But they're all dead.
Yeah, a bit of a misclick, I would say. Maybe he just wasn't watching at that point, thought VortiX would retreat faster instead of taking that fight here. I mean, at the same time, Beasty is remassing, so it's definitely a big blunder, I would say, but nothing tragic in the sense. He's coming back, though.
Yeah, the militia have also been called now. And Beasty is going to force the issue yet again, make as much space between VortiX's army and his base as possible. He's remassed yet again. Did we maybe overboom slightly here as Beasty? 142? It was a little much, right?
This is typical Beasty, though, 142 villagers, 3k food income, like... Now, what I want to see is exactly what BC is very good at. Horsemen all over the map. Let's kill some VortiX villagers. I mean, VortiX is still at 1200 food per minute, so every villager that VortiX has, he needs desperately. So I think this is the time for BC to start doing that.
I think you're so right. Like, there's so many targets to hit as well. I mean, there's Uvus all over the map. Just literally, Uvus are basically the backbone of VortiX's entire game with Golden Horde here. Starting to remove those would be massive, and they're pretty expensive in his position to remake as well. Still only on 80 villages at this point in time. But also the stockyards, right? I mean, there's no stone walls for Golden Horde. There is palisade walls, but they're not going to do much to stop imp horsemen. And you need so many fortified outposts to actually secure your stockyards, way more than is reasonable. Looks like Beasty agrees. There's a big wave of horsemen in the far west. They're looking to go in at the same time as VortiX is trying to seep in, but fortified palisade walls are way harder to take down, and Strozzi on the defense are going to make quick work of the cavalry.
Yeah, and look how defensive VortiX is playing. I think Beasty maybe doesn't realize how good his position is in the sense of resources, but VortiX so defensive because he realizes he really needs the economy that he does have. I mean, we're looking at a Golden Horde that is still not 200 population versus his opponent who has 200 population, 4k resources of food, and VortiX understands that because he knows his position is not as strong as maybe he's trying to present it to be.
Yeah, for sure, and the bank difference is the scariest part, I think, right? I mean, it's just Beasty's gold alone exceeds the entirety of VortiX's bank, even the wood. Yeah. Like it's pretty crazy, honestly, the difference. And VortiX, we saw a couple of them, a few hand cannoneers coming out, and I think hand cannoneers are definitely the right response. Well, one of the right responses against Strozzi. The additional range is huge for them, but ideally, you'd love to have triple production on your ranges before you start really pumping these guys, which we did see. He did go up to 3 Uvus, but, you know, he can build 4 in Imp, so wasn't able to get the 4th one. Of course, a few got torched down now as well, which is definitely kind of painful.
It is painful, and I think he only has 2 at the moment. One got torched down. I don't think he's been building as many as he could be, but, I mean, just check the upgrades. He doesn't even have any food upgrades, wow. which means he's not. He has 51 on food, and he's gathering 1,700 food per minute, which is okay. It's changing a little bit now, but it's not good. It's not.
Yeah, good. It's extra painful as well because the stockyards are just a little bit worse than farms, right? You save a lot on cost because obviously it's well, it used to be 4 for the price of 3, but now it's just a little bit more expensive, 25 more wood. But it's still pretty good. But the issue is, like, the income. Like, they're more efficient than farmers, but the income is actually slower. So you really want those stone upgrades for the gather rate, which, well, looks like he heard us.
Yeah, it seems like he did. And he's getting them now, but 35 minutes in the game, like, it's a bit rough, you know?
Yeah, I can definitely say that again. It's, I mean, he's maintaining a massive army mass, though, despite that, to be fair. Oh my god, and we have Karash. We actually have Karash.
Oh. He's doing all the things Golden Horde, you know, their bonuses, a bit slow, but, you know, he's getting around to them. Right.
Better late than never. And to be fair, I think Beasty has to be very careful here, because I mean, Strozzi are amazing for sure, but with so many archers for VortiX, he can trade out incredibly cost-efficiently against them with a bit of focus firing there. And VortiX is getting plenty of his own horsemen as well, which, yeah, Rus has amazing horsemen, but so does Golden Horde, honestly. There's a very good unique upgrade for them, right? What is it, +2 armor, I think?
It is, but that requires stone, right? So we can assume that he hasn't gone that.
I mean, it's possible. Like, the stone's been a bit of an issue, right?
It's been a bit tough for him. I mean, that's just what happens with Golden Horde when you choose to go Muscovy Yasak and you don't really prioritize stone, right? Look at how many Torgut he's been producing, right? Which is really his focus. And now we're seeing the fight being taken. Beasty doesn't really look to me like he has the army mass, but he's taking the fight anyway against a VortiX who has 116 units. Oh, he comes in from the south side, though. Really nice flank on Beasty here, which...
Wow.
Yeah, and it looks like he's gonna clean
That's a massive knight come up, yeah. I mean, that came out of nowhere, man.
It did.
Yeah, huge victory here for Beasty. Just, I don't even know how he snuck these knights in from nowhere, and all of a sudden, GG is called. VortiX, a hard-fought game here for Beasty, but and what a back-and-forth one as well, but he brings it back.
Yeah, that was a crazy game. I mean, almost 40-minute game, back and forth, as you said, all over the place. BC up to 140 vills. I mean, just a crazy game. No words.
Yeah, that was pretty insane. I was about to say that is what we're seeing is the exact amount of Golden Horde at its peak, right? They call the Horde for a reason. But before you know it, the Boyar's knights come from behind and completely mop up the remnants of VortiX's army. I think he might have had poleaxes as well in by the end. So great surround there by Beasty at the end to bring it back. And it's a great win, right? I mean, Rus is a strong save, but most people would have Golden Horde significantly above it. So taking that out of the equation must feel pretty nice here for Beasty. VortiX, though, it's going to take us to King of the Hill.
No, I think that's a very, very good win for Beasty, and especially after the early game, defending, amazing momentum for Beasty to go into this King of the Hill game. Lancaster, and we're finally seeing that JD pick that Beasty didn't want to allow until King of the Hill, which I think this is a pretty good matchup for him, actually. This could be another Beasty victory if he plays top of his game.
Yeah, especially on this map with the wood lines and slightly deceptive crossing distance, I want to say, right? Because it looks like the bases are kind of close, but you have to snake around the cliff slightly twice, right? First on your side and then on the opponent's side there where the opening is beforehand. There's a cliff, so you got to go around it slightly, meaning that it's actually longer than I think on standard maps, if I'm not mistaken. Even though it looks like it's closer, it's actually not. And yeah, I mean, I find it funny the way VortiX has been sort of weaponizing this JD pick. Just every single game is JD and like another top civ. And like, well, what's it gonna be, JD or this ST civ? Choose your poison.
Yeah, and interesting head-to-head between these two. VortiX seems like in the most recent tournaments, despite obviously Homestead Cup, Beasty did take that series against VortiX, but overall, I would say previously VortiX has kind of had his number. But yeah, I don't know. What do you think about these two, Myriad?
It's a tough one. Like, it does look very, very close. And I think we actually spoke about this just before we started, right? And I think what you said is pretty much true. Like, initially, back when Beasty was the best, right? A couple of years ago now, he really made his mark on the scene then. And I think he built up quite a very good record at that stage. But, of course, he had a break a while ago. And we know that he takes big priority on his stream. Instead of competition, so it just makes perfect sense that he might not improve at the same rate as other players that are sort of grinding customs constantly. Someone like VortiX, right, who he also streams, but his main focus is the competition at the end of the day. So because of that, I think recently VortiX has pushed through more with his improvement and tightened the record between the two of them to the point where it's pretty much neck and neck, with Beasty only leading in terms of games, but series are 50-50.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty good idea. I mean,
thank you.
I mean, both of these players are like some of the best players in Age of Empires 4, right? So the series can go back and forth any day of the week, any month, like any tournament, really. If BC decides to put in more time for a particular tournament, it's hard to say I would favor VortiX in that situation, right? But again, the series between these two are just always good series. Between the top 10, the top 8, top 12, I would want to say, you always go back and forth between them.
You do, and that's a big reason of why this is always so exciting. You just don't know. You simply don't know. I mean, we had some crazy results so far in this tournament already. I mean, we saw Marine Lord, right, dropping up against VortiX in the group stages. You just never know, and history can't always be relied on to determine patterns for how it's going to go from here on out. But, I mean, VortiX, as we mentioned, takes us to King of the Hill, and I do agree with you. I think Beasty has a pretty nice matchup on his hands, especially considering the map. The matchup is, of course, for him. VortiX, the color red, as JD. As we have just a little pause here to start us off with. He's going to be facing Beasty, and the color yellow is Lancaster. Neck in neck, these two. And for this map, it's oh, he's back. Yeah, it's on this map, right? It's the wood is always safe, right? We talk about Gorge, the wood being safe. Well, King of the Hill is even safer. So that makes it very difficult for VortiX to find significant damage if that is his goal. We might see like a relatively fast castle here from VortiX into an instant side capture with JD, which kind of feels like maybe the way you have to play this.
I mean, you don't have a lot of options, I would say, as VortiX. I think you have to kind of expect that Beasty's going to go 2TC. Also, Lancaster, one of the fastest 2TC in the game. Also, extremely defensive 2TC. You have to keep in mind, they're gathering sheep faster, which means they age up faster, which means, you know, they're getting that 2TC out faster. On top of that, you also have the king, which makes all the spearmen, you know, every unit harder to kill if you do decide to take that all-in H2. And John Dark, I mean, when I think of John Dark, I think Feudal Age all-in. I don't really think Fast Castle. I don't really think 2TC. And I would say House of Lancaster is really, that's kind of their specialty, is defending well 2TC against an all-in, right?
Yeah, I'd say so as well. Even the Abbey itself, right? Like if you're able to take a couple of mini skirmishes before the push is going to come in, just being able to top up the units safely, it's such a nice little addition on top of it too. Of course, even short bows can aid a little bit in a pinch,
Yeah.
especially against raids. So a lot going for them, even without the attack speed that Civ like English has. Their eco is just better, so they make up for it.
100%. And I mean, I'm very interested to see what VortiX is going to do because, oh wow, and we're seeing the Lancaster Castle from Beasty actually.
That's crazy.
It's a bit crazy, I would say. I guess it's just for the extra defense. I mean, he is up against Jean d'Arc, right? So expecting a lot of aggression. I mean, again, it's against VortiX on top of that. So
True that. Yeah, I'm also against Knights, right? The Lords are great, but I mean they're gonna get destroyed by Knights, and I imagine they feed a lot of experience to JD if they do fall. These things might be playing on Beasty's mind.
I'm curious though. Is this going to be 2TC from Beasty? I would say yes, to be honest.
Yeah.
But I mean, I guess he also has the option to go Manos, but the 2TC for me, it just gives you that extra, you know, extra reason to just allow VortiX to just attack you and you just defend. Because without that, you're just going to win the game, right?
Yeah. It's it's also like the 2 age up, right? That's normally like sort of a telltale sign of 2TC usually has like a lot of civs starting to pushing the deer as well. So I think he kind of picked his spot too. It's going to be a decent little spot there with the deer. Can easily wall it in. That's a nice thing about this map for 2TC is there's always the pressure of the timer when you're playing 2TC here, but it's normally so nice to defend on this map.
Yeah, it is very nice to defend on this map, actually. And I went up against Maroonord, 2TC House of Lancaster on this map, and I was very surprised how difficult it was to do any damage whatsoever. But I do want to know, I think this age-up option from Beasty is super 5-head. I mean, he decided not to go Spearman in Dark Age, which means he's going to get that TC up faster, which means, okay, he's not going to have anything to go up against the Knight. But you can garrison inside the castle, and you should be fine, right?
It's almost like he learned a little bit from the Risk game, right? Because it's a bit similar in the sense that, you know, there's no delay of Spearman, like there was a delay with Scouts that game. And, you know, he didn't want to have the idle time with garrisoning for the Kremlin, but because the delay isn't as much here, he might not even have to. Although the first Knight is on the field already, and Yeah, we gathered the extra 123, but the extra 100 stone for 1 mana as well here for Beasty. So that does slow the TC down just a little bit, but it means he doesn't have to worry about stones for a while again. So I think it's probably worth it, but okay, he's still going to place it defensively, it looks like.
Yeah, and I think it is worth it. And I mean, I mean, you see that the knight is going immediately to the stone, right? Beastie has no spearman to defend for that. Although, I wonder if this knight is going to come in time to delay that TC. That could be a big issue for Beastie here.
It very well could be. Have a little check on the progress of the TC. I think he did pull a couple extra, it looked like to me, to make sure it goes up.
Oh,
Ooh, it should be fine. Castle is there. Oh, he doesn't even see it.
yeah, it's going to be fine. And it's a very fast TC timing, right? He's going to have the mana behind this as well. He even has access to that deer pack. Not immediately, but once he gets enough units out on the map, he's going to be able to gather that. So it's a very nice start for Beastie, I would say. And VortiX, you know, has 3 knights, John Dark, and can't really do any damage.
No, and that's the issue here. What do we do next? TC's up. There's a Lancaster castle blocking a full entrance here on the right side. There's nothing on the left. Like, there's no more stone needed for Beastie for a while longer. The gold is also secured there. The wood is secure. Beastie literally has everything he needs for the foreseeable future. There's no easy denial like in the Roost game. VortiX, I think it's castle, right? Like, no more knights in queue. Starting to bank up a bit of food. Very light on the wood.
Yeah, I think it is. And I think if Beastie recognizes that, he can probably go maybe a few spearmen. Maybe he gets the levy from the castle, but if he recognizes it, that should be it, and he should be going Castle Age behind VortiX, and it shouldn't be very far behind VortiX at all, I would say.
No, right, the extra sheep gathering is so amazing for Lancaster in this case. It's so crazy. Like, often they're able to get castle faster on 2TC than a Civ, like, going fast castle as a response on 1TC, right? Just pretty wild.
Yeah, it's very wild. I mean, again, the Civ is just very fast. VortiX is going for a Vill. Does manage to get 1 Vill, so that's not nothing. I mean, it's not going to win him the game, but, you know, every little bit does count, and 1 Vill is a nice pickup.
See?
Yeah, it's a start to what he needs here, which is finding a good timing, or ideally a lot of damage. Slowly trending towards that castle, so our read was correct, and he's going to want to immediately capture the site with JD, of course, not only for the timer, but he's going to give her plenty of experience as well. And I think, I don't know if you know this, I'm not certain, maybe Kaunos if you don't. Does JD constantly get XP when the site is captured, like passively? Like more than normal?
Yeah, I don't think so. I think she just gets it as the site gets captured, right?
Let's see.
I think, yeah. I mean, VortiX is trying to go around the other side to, you know, possibly get another villager kill, but another thing about the castle and the buff that I got, the garrison is very impactful, which just means Beastie is going to be able to garrison these villages and even possibly do damage to John Dark here. He has to notice it. Might get a vill. He's going to get a vill.
JD is a marksman, finding the kill through the windows of the Lancaster castle.
Yeah. And that is still in the game. I don't know what people feel about that, but it feels... I don't know. Maybe...
There we go. There you go. Should work. Just a few technical difficulties, but I think we should be fine now, right? Looks okay at least. All right. Just bear with us here while we load back up the game. It's going to take a little while to catch up to where we were. But yeah, so what is your view on it? Like, would you rather the garrison just always goes through and once they're inside, they're like immortal pretty much, or not?
Yeah, I would because I hate John Dog. You know, we don't need that.
Yeah, none of that. I mean, it makes right? Like it does make more logical sense. Once they're in, and
Okay,
the arrows can complete for, you know.
yeah. Prediction though, I bet Beasty is gonna go King's College. You know, what do you think? Yeah.
It makes
I
sense because he can't
reason
place
being,
it
right?
aggressively.
The reason being, what is White Tower gonna do at this point? You know,
Right.
like you're already defensive. You gotta get the Sacred Site. You know, I think King's College, the upgrade on the Knights in particular, could be kind of cool here.
It could be, right? Like in the past, there used to be. I remember we saw Puppy actually try that, right? With 1TC Fast Castle. I mean, I think on 1TC it doesn't really work because the eco is not there, and French can just work to deny food and gold, especially, but or JD in this case. However, on 2TC it might definitely pay off a bit more because you're scaling safely behind it, right? And I think even though with veterancy the knights are better, I think for JD still, if I'm not mistaken, or French for that matter. Even against Color of S's because of the healing and the extra damage after charge. It's still going to really help in fights.
It is, and he did also go to the castle, so I'm wrong. That's unfortunate, but yeah, we're seeing the White Tower.
I was hoping you're right.
He just wants to get that extra, defense just in case, because I guess VortiX still does have John Dog and 3 knights, so
It's actually rushing it even. 19 is quite a few. Very defensive, right? Like, I mean, there's nothing getting through there. We have a Lancaster Castle, a TC, and the White Tower on one screen. That is the safest gold mine ever in Age of Empires 4.
Yeah, no problem getting that gold, that's for sure. 3k, still a lot of value on that.
And the next gold is on the far left there for Beasty. I would have thought he tried to get it there, but huge risk, right? Like, you don't know exactly how much VortiX has.
Yeah, I think it is a big risk, and I think Beasty probably just, again, the game's been going pretty good for him. He's just saying, you know what, I'm not going to take any risks. I'm just going to play my game and win.
Site now being captured for VortiX. We saw the first archery range being produced as well. 2 stables are up and running already for VortiX. I imagine they're consecrated by now. We see the 3 O's guard. Oh, this could be so painful for VortiX, actually. These guys still one-shot villagers with their daggers in 3.
Yeah, they do. Unless you get textiles.
Yeah.
Still. VortiX doesn't have it. I think the next thing about this game, though, is, again, it's going to be that Sacred Site, because VortiX kind of, I would say, understands that that's basically the best way for him to win. Beasty does get 1 villager, as you mentioned, but VortiX should see that, and he should head there immediately.
Yeah, I mean, picking up 3 free O, well, not free, he lost a villager, but picking up the 3 O's guard there could be nice. Beasty actually has some spearmen there as well. Wonder why. Was that in anticipation of these O's guard getting intercepted by knights?
I'm not sure. I mean, even if the spearmen see the knights, right, you just kill the spearmen as the knights. So I'm not exactly positive.
Beasty trying to peel off.
Is finding the men-at-arms, though, at this point. So they are gonna die. 1 villager down, 3 men-at-arms.
Yeah, not great, eh?
It's kind of mid.
And VortiX archer production is now on the way. We even have veterancy. Okay, I think it was a misclick. We saw veterancy for horsemen for a sec, but just for the archer veterancy instead, which is what he needs, of course. A couple of farms starting to come up right beneath that initial mana, which is, I mean, that's a mana position, right? Got the gold and the wood. That's exactly what you want.
Yeah, definitely. And the relics are being picked up by VortiX. He is going to have to go to the east side. It seems like all of them are kind of in that area, so probably going to be the next kind of fighting point for both of these piles. Although Beasty is biding his time, you know, he does have quite a villager advantage at this point, so doesn't really possibly even need to get those relics. I wouldn't be surprised if he just gave them up entirely.
Surprisingly, though, it's actually a Beasty. Oh no, it wasn't Beasty, my mistake. I thought it was Beasty who managed to get a relic, but it was VortiX who managed to get the first relic in. So he should be getting 3 here, realistically. The one beyond the wall is going to be a tough call. Unless he looks to force the issue, which he might, but... Oh, we have the levies actually coming in.
Oh, okay. I mean, I think BC just wants some units so that he can start, you know, harassing the villagers of VortiX on the deer, on the berries, on the gold, because he doesn't even have a stable at this point, right?
Yeah, no, he does not yet. Which, yeah, I mean, going knights on 2TC against 1 on a delay, it's always a bit risky, right? I mean, it's so expensive. They're mainly going to be for raiding, and, you know, you're at such a knight deficit that you're going to want to make sure you get value out of them without losing them. Like, if you're going to lose them, you know, ideally 1 knight for 2 villages at the minimum. But it's not always easy.
It's definitely not always easy, and Beasty is, I want to say, a bit greedy in trying to deny this relic, although, with that being said, he is going to deny it and pull back immediately and get away with that being in mind. VortiX, I don't want to say out of position, but not going to be able to take advantage of Beasty being so far out. At the same time, Beasty has a group of cav coming from the top side, going to that deer pack in the west.
Yeah, I think VortiX was wanting to check the gold on the northwestern side there, thinking Beasty would have run out by now. But of course, Beasty's not using a lot of gold for his composition. It's mainly just crossbows, which aren't very pricey in gold, of course. So it means that the relic gets denied. Demi-lancers, though, are gonna be a bit of a nuisance here on this tower, and they do need to be addressed because they're doing decent torch damage, and they're not gonna die easily to just some arrows.
If you take a look at the resources, the villagers, you can see VortiX is in a very, very tough position. I mean, he's gathering quite a bit of stone, and you have to imagine that stone is for a keep near the sacred site, right?
Yeah. It's... Yeah, I mean, it takes so long, doesn't it? Like, even now, the site's been captured for a while, and it's still 5 minutes and 30 seconds to go. And the truth is, you can't just wait for this, right? Like, in this position, as what you see against 2. Just because you have the site ticking, like, that's more than enough time the 2TC needs to pay off and gain way more value than you as the 1TC player. But then again, finding damage is also so difficult against Lancaster specifically, so it's just a tough one for VortiX.
Yeah, exactly, and BC, I think, senses that VortiX wants to get that keep. And now BC going for the denial, and, I mean, if VortiX allows this to happen, he essentially has no win condition, right? Yeah. So, VortiX is forced to defend this sacred site. BC going after the village, so he's not going to get the keep up. The sacred site is going to be held. But the villas are now running from the opposite side, going back to build the keep, and we're gonna see a fight on the sacred site, 100%. Beasty doesn't want to allow VortiX to get that keep, possibly to get Red Palace afterwards, so he's going to take this fight.
And this is the timing that Beasty has been waiting for, but there's a massive issue at play here for VortiX, which is the fact that he does not have a single blacksmith upgrade at this point in time to Beasty's double ranged armor and ranged damage. He's gonna take the fight regardless. JD is present as well, picking up plenty of experience, but she falls immediately to the crossbows afterwards. So much damage on these knights. Not enough archers to actually clear the spearmen fast enough here, or the crossbows. VortiX sacks his army for the key, but loses the sight in GG, just like that.
Oh my god, and he lost the sight, and he's like, oh, I can't win anymore. Like, if he had the sight, possibly he could have, you know, gotten Red Palace afterwards, but with the sight gone, it's GG. Like,
100%. Yeah, that was crazy. I mean, yeah, the lack of blacksmith, it's so That's so rough, and I don't even want to say it's an oversight. I mean, yeah, sure it is, but the economic strain, right? I mean, first you're going fast castle, you desperately need all your eco upgrades really as JD. I mean, they're cheaper, right? Like it'll be very silly not to use that civ advantage. And then you're pumping knights, you're pumping archers, you got to take relics. It's a lot to get, and you know the economy, like JD just does not have a good economy by default. Your only bonuses are the cheaper upgrades and obviously the consecration later on. But all of that, you know, it starts off very slow. It just takes time for the consecration, especially, to make a big difference. But the cheaper upgrade as well, like it only really starts feeling good, for castle upgrades and for imperial upgrades, with it's so much more expensive and you save way more.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, we mentioned it before the game, but I would say tough matchup, right? Helsa Lancaster, very defensive, John Dog, very aggressive, and just not a good matchup there for VortiX. And almost nothing went his way this game. He killed maybe 1-2 villagers at the start of the game. It's just not enough.
No, it's not. And as you mentioned, it's just so tough on that map to find that damage. I almost want to say, like, there's a little maneuver around the cliff there where maybe VortiX could have cut some reinforcements and sort of trapped Beasty's army from behind, but the numbers were still so against him that I'm not sure it would have worked. But, well, Beasty's now in the lead, 2-1, and VortiX takes us to Hill and Dale. And, I mean, already it's spicy, right? VortiX in the Byzantines on red is going to open us up with a barracks here, up against Beasty's Yellow Knights Templar on Hillendale.
And Beasty is not going for the barracks of his own, which means VortiX is just kind of building a barracks for nothing as Byzantines, which is not really ideal, right? I mean, especially against KT, which means KT is going to age super, super fast and get that Ultra Range out immediately, right?
Yeah.
Concerns for VortiX in this situation already.
Yeah, I don't see the vision, right? Like, the thing is, it's not like a normal spear opening either, because the issue is, like, Byzantines does not have a smooth spear opening because of the fact that they have to build that system, so it means the spearmen are slower, right? And the spearmen, of course, also cost more food. So as a result of that, like, you're using more food for the spearmen than other civilizations. Wait, they don't. I'm thinking of Malians, aren't I? Of Donzos.
No. I'm pretty sure Byzantines Limitane cost more food. I think it's like...
Can we check? Oh, they do. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. And now he cancels. He was going to build 3 spearmen. He has 2 spearmen on the map against KT. And I mean, KT gathers the gold, and they immediately take their villagers off of the gold and just gather basically almost all wood, right? So VortiX is going to find basically no damage here, which is painful in this situation. Especially, as you mentioned, Byzantine Dark Age is not fast. More expensive spearmen, have to go cisterns. You don't start with that much wood. He's not gathering stone now. So, yeah, I mean, not a good start.
I mean, what? This must be an expectation of 2TC from VortiX, right? And he's thinking, well, I can probably be very annoying on the stone here, but do you really care as Byzantines about 2TC, honestly, in this matchup? Like, you have free reign to go 5 systems if they go 2TC. You have free reign to secure the berries. I mean, honestly, even Biz could go 2TC in response, and I think it wouldn't be terrible. Like, they scale amazingly. So I don't understand the reasoning for being so, wanting to prevent or damage the 2TC timing so much at his own detriment, right?
Yeah, and he's not even going to be able to stop the stone gathering from Beasty. Beasty's going to build a tower there. He's already gathering wood, which means... I mean, we're going to bone this mining camp. He's going to get 50 resources of value there, right? I would tend to agree, though. I don't think... Like, even if you can stop the 2TC, Beasty can just age up and immediately go for a range anyway. I think if you want to... Maybe he was scared of Dark Age Spearmen, like a Tower Rush, I'm not sure, but even in that case, you could go Hippodrome, right? So, Yeah, I don't see the vision, but I mean, this game, it's still beginning. There's a lot more to play out. VortiX is going for Grand Winery. I would like to see some pressure because he does now know about the 2TC, the Spearmen are coming over to the stone. So he has to expect probably 2TC on the gold, 2TC on the deer. We'll have to see what he thinks about that now.
And the winery is being rushed with 6, of course, to make up for the delay from the Dark Age. Still, even now, no active stone gathering for VortiX, and oh my god, that barracks. Oh no, the position with the winery. Oh, my OCD's killing me, Wham. You guys do this as well. You and Puppy, you keep building stuff in influence zones of like Matsuri and winery and stuff like that. It kills me, man.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, it's in the older game, so it doesn't matter that much, right? So.
Yeah, nah, that's true. It's true enough. It's not like he's gonna litter farms around the winery just yet. And Beasty, I mean, the TC is gonna go up without too many issues, right? I mean, there's a delay by the Spearman and having to go for the tower, but I mean, Beasty must be pretty happy with this position. Like, I don't think he's feeling any threat really from these Spearmen.
No, I don't think he is at all, and he's gonna get that 2TC up without any problems whatsoever, right?
Yeah, I mean, even the deer, like, he's still gonna be able to get it on the deer here. And, oh man, that's such a snug fit. Wow.
Yeah, it is, and the deer is very, very nice for him to pick up afterwards. I mean, this... I don't even think this Pilgrim might not go down. I mean, I guess if he goes for the Fall Sacred Site, it might. Yeah, I guess it probably will, but... It's not a lot for Beasty to sacrifice, right? This Pilgrim's automatically gonna go up again and again. Very nice spot for him to be in.
Yeah. I mean, losing the first Pilgrim probably hurts the most compared to losing them later, but yeah, I mean, it's not a huge loss for him, and especially considering the position he's in because of this Dark Age. VortiX, though, it's actually going to be Javelins as his choice here, so this feels like it's going to be very aggressive, right?
I would think so.
Atmosphere.
Yeah. I would think so for VortiX. I mean, you do have a decent bit of advantages. You do have the very ranged... I forget what they're called, the ranged rams.
Kairosophon.
Yeah, which are like some of the best rams in the game, right? To attack, because which means your units in general are so much more safe when attacking because you can stand the distance. And TCs, second TCs in general, right, don't have the range that first TCs do. And you can see Beasty has that forward second TC, which means it's kind of a target in this situation, right?
It really is. And that's the nice thing about the Kairosophon, like, so much value in just building a single one, right? That's what's interesting, because in numbers they scale worse than regular rams because of the downtime and, of course, the additional cost, but having just one feels absolutely amazing and so difficult to deal with. And that seems to be the plan here for VortiX, right? I think he just wants to get this down. Which again, like, I guess it's very VortiX-esque, you know? I mean, if this was Marine Lord playing Byzantines, right? I think this game would already look completely different. We'd have 5 systems, we'd be on every berry and probably already slowly aging the castle.
Yeah, I think very true. And you can see VortiX doesn't even have anybody on stone, right? Which is pretty, pretty insane for Byzantines at this point, especially since the systems are cheaper. But exactly what we were talking about was seeing that ram coming in now, and he's going to be super, super aggressive here.
And to be fair, I can think of few better compositions for this kind of a play as well. I mean, Javelins, of course, aren't nearly as scared of TC fire. Something like Archers, even Limitane, can do a great job in taking the arrow fire with the shield wall. And even going so far, I mean, of course, he's prioritizing his blacksmith upgrades to a great extent. Siege engineering first, now going for the ranged armor, not a single economic upgrade being put here. Actually, starting with an early olive grove there instead of moving. You see on the... Looks like there's a blueprint on the forward berries, but okay, I think he's moving on it now. Oh no, it's actually a batch of javs. Okay, he is moving on it. There we go.
Yeah, he's doing both. And I don't think, I mean, that is a few horsemen. It might do some damage to the javelins, maybe pick 1 or 2 off, but I mean, Beasty really doesn't have that many units, right?
No, it doesn't. That's sort of the timing here for VortiX, right?
Oh.
It's yeah, losing 2 jabs kind of hurts though in the second batch, because we're talking about the threshold to one-shotting archers here, which is so important for VortiX. I think it's 6 or 7 jabs. So this is either okay or very painful right now for VortiX. I'm not sure which one it is. But it looks like it's actually, yeah.
It kind of looks painful, but at the same time, more units are coming. The second Gyro Siphon is coming, so I think this is really the point where it becomes very scary for Beasty, although Beasty does have almost 13 Ultras at this point, which, I mean, once you get to the point against Byzantines where the Ultras can actually fight the Javelins, I mean, that's a situation you never want to be in, because at that point you have nothing to counter the Ultras.
Yeah. So it is 6 to 1 shot. I thought it was actually 5 after seeing the damage they did with the first 4, but I guess it could be 6. With the second Kairosophon though, that damage is starting to pile up quite quickly. You can see the slight value loss there compared to regular rounds, because there's a decent bit of downtime with these fire bursts. Like you can see now, this is 0 damage coming in because we got to reignite the oil.
And Beasty's actually deciding to give up this TC, which is an interesting choice to me. I think it's possible. I mean, he doesn't want to, lose any villagers trying to bone those rams, because he doesn't really have anything else to kill those rams, right? So I understand why. But at the same time, he only has a 10 villager advantage, which is, it's significant, but at the same time, you're up against Byzantines, which is getting, 3 units from Olive Oil. VortiX is still on the berries. I mean, VortiX in this situation could even just age up as well, and I think that's probably what we're going to see, given VortiX just decided to go on the deer, which means he's going to get quite a bit of food income here, and possibly shift even more towards the gold.
I think it makes the most sense here by far, right? He, alongside that, just pivoting around to the right side and going through the wall onto the wood line seems to make the most sense to me as well, but he's actually going around onto the left side instead, which I find a bit curious.
Yeah,
sure
it's interesting. He still has 351 gold and quite a bit on food, so I mean, maybe he just thinks, he's not on any threat here. It's just, I just don't see him doing that much damage right now, right?
Yeah, for sure. I guess, it seems like the idea is to target the food instead, but it puts him in a bit of a precarious position, as we're about to see right now, because it's very easy for you to get surrounded, even though jabs are quite quick. The Metane are not.
Yeah, and I would say
Beasty,
this is the
though,
point where Beasty can start actually just fighting the javelins with the ultras. I mean, 35 ultras, I think that easily kills 10 javelins, and maybe Beasty is just biding his time, but I think he has a real opportunity right now to do a lot of damage to VortiX. And you can even see VortiX is going for that age up, so this army net right now is super, super vulnerable.
And it's astounding to me that he's actually sort of playing a distancing game here with Beasty, considering his numbers. I mean, he must have seen the sheer amount of archers. I'd be running far, far for the hills on the left side there. I'm very surprised he's actually going back, and now it's a bit of a dangerous position, right? Because the jabs are fast, but yeah, the spears aren't, so the jabs will have to kite with these Limitani to keep most of them alive and thin out the archer mass. This is scary, though.
Yeah, it is scary, and again, both players recognize what we were talking about earlier, that VortiX just does not have the mass to take care of this army, and VortiX giving up a lot of units, 2 rams. I mean, this is super significant, and behind that, Beasty is looking for that age up as well, so this is just a great position for Beasty to find himself in.
Yeah, a bit overzealous from VortiX potentially here, a bit overplaying his hands slightly potentially in this position, and there's a price for it. So many of the Limitane just falling on the retreat here. Nice little impale though. Picks up one of the horsemen. Makes BC think twice about sticking around too long. A couple more archers coming from the front, and ooh, it's looking very, very messy here. And Beasty recognizes what's happening as well. He's going to be up in no time himself. Very ready to click the button very soon here.
Yeah, and I mean, Beasty tried as much as possible to slow down that mass from VortiX. He recognized, you know, I have what it takes to kill VortiX right now, but VortiX was doing a great job of denying Beasty from doing that as much as possible. And Beasty did get quite a few Spearman kills, but that Javelin mass, you know, VortiX didn't really lose any of them, I want to say. Maybe 1 or 2?
I think he lost. Looks like he lost 3 total, right? Because I guess it's multiples of 4, so it must have been up to 16 total, or it would have been. We saw 2 die to the horseman early on, and then I think he lost 1 more, maybe probably in that retreat. And I find the pilgrims here yet again. Look to start burning the wall. Big raid by Beasty though. Picks up a villager.
Yeah, and at the same time, he's going for the heavy spearman option. Basically, the only thing he has of value here, the fortress health and the docks, not a reason to go up for that age up. So heavy spearmen all going to be coming in here. And again, VortiX doesn't really have a good option against heavy spearmen. Expos are really the only thing you can go up against that, and VortiX doesn't even have an ultra range, I think.
Yeah, rarely does Byzantines actually go into ranges, at least in the early to mid game. Except for potentially hand cannoneers up in Imp, but far away from that point, and with the way the game's progressing, I don't see it reaching that stage, right? As VortiX looks to mount on the pressure, now starting to burn down these houses, and that's actually a lot of houses. It's a bit of a painful loss in this position for Beasty, blocking his population, forced to use his wood to rebuild them.
A bit, but Beasty is just getting his ultra upgrade, just getting his pierced arrow upgrade, and I mean, he's definitely going to be looking for a fight, I would say. I think he has a massive amount of ultras that, I mean, VortiX just doesn't have the mass that Beasty has. The only value is heavily in favor of Beasty here.
Oh no, and VortiX does not see the entrapment from behind. This is going to be a disaster here for VortiX if he doesn't see it. Beasty, though, presses the trigger just a little bit early. However, it's still a great connection, and so many of these Limitan are going to go down. Now, the cataphracts are starting to hit the field, but like we mentioned, these javelins, they have high base damage, but with the amount of heavy spearmen that Beasty can put out, and so many archers as well, I don't know if these jabs will be enough.
Yeah, I mean, for the time being, Beasty is playing very slow and correct. I mean, that's a great raid if Beasty sees that. That would be amazing for him to catch those villagers out on the berries there, which I assume VortiX is going towards. Doesn't catch it. Is focusing on this fight, but the fight, it's hard to tell. I think quite good for Beasty. I mean, he just has so many archers, right?
Yeah, it is. I mean, you know, he's doing a few archers there, here and there, and some heavy spearmen, but he's trading out you know, relatively cheap units for KT here compared to basically the best VortiX has. The cataphracts as well as the javelin mass. This is exactly what VortiX has, his best units, but it's not enough to bring him home the victory as GG is called, and Beasty takes a commanding lead now in this set, pushing VortiX up against the wall, 3 wins to 1, and VortiX, as we mentioned in the last set, just like B, he can afford no more mistakes.
Yeah. And Beasty taking a very good lead against VortiX here. A player who, again, Beasty did win in the previous series, but very difficult opponent in general for Beasty, I would say, and a very good opponent in general. So Beasty must be very happy with how the set is turning out so far.
Yeah, for sure. Especially the question, oh, we already have our answer. And ooh, yeah, I'm glad.
I don't know what you think about this, Myriad, but Zushi against Delhi, that is not what you want to be seeing from VortiX, I would assume. I mean,
yeah.
Just think of these two civs. Zushi, just insane, I mean, mass of units in Feudal Age. You have the tower, you have the armies that they produced, you have Zuganu. On the other hand, Delhi, a Feudal Age, I mean, I want to say Juggernaut, but at the same time, not on the level Zushi is. and they need to play Feudal Age because you need to get those sacred sites, right?
Yeah, for sure. Do you know what's insane to me here is like, I'm sure you'd agree, right? Like back during Pika Pro Scouts when Jushi was like kind of like maybe slightly faster but slightly worse China, right? That like this matchup was considered horrible even back then for Delhi, right? And Jushi was a little bit slower, right? Maybe slightly more economically proud, but a bit slower because of the Pro Scout. He didn't have the Judgment Tower. Now, though, the amount of units Jushi's able to just pump from that Jiangnan, I would think that it's even worse for Delhi than before, no?
I would say so, and I mean, Delhi, they have no other option but to play Feudal Age, right? So, I mean, you're not fast castling as Delhi, you're not going 2TC as Delhi, and that's basically, you're playing against a Civ. In my opinion, right now, Zushi is probably the best Feudal Age, mass Civ in the game. Like, you just can't mass the amount of units that Zushi has right now. It's just impossible.
Yeah, it's pretty obscene, and I remember in practice as well when I faced Jushi a couple of times. I wasn't a believer initially, but it took a few very painful losses, and I came to accept that Jushi is maybe a bit more busted than I thought. And yeah, like especially on this map, like maybe on something like an Arabia or Gorge, you can play a bit more to the Ghazi's mobility and kind of outmaneuver Zuganu and Palace Guards here and there, play to spacing and spreading yourself out properly. You don't have that luxury on Coastal Cliffs, man. It's two sites close together, condensed the map. You're playing with 2/3 of a normal map. On paper, it seems like everything is working against VortiX in this matchup, right?
Yeah, I think that's a super good point about Coastal Cliffs. Like, if you're gonna win this as Delhi, you want to somehow utilize the Ghazi, get some villager picks, it's that much more difficult on this map, right? And yeah, I mean, everything kind of is working against VortiX, I would say, but, never say never, and Age of Empires 4, there's always opportunities, situations where you can put yourself ahead, the better player is always going to win for the most part, like, especially, I mean, not always, but most of the time, right? Like, if you put Beasty Delhi against, like, a Conqueror 1 player, Beasty's gonna win, like, 99% of the time, right?
Even if they're playing Jushi, right? It's just how it is. Yeah. You're completely right. There's always opportunity. So it's always interesting to me, especially while we're casting. We spoke about this many times with others before, right? Is how there's always the theory, right, of how something is meant to go based on what we've seen historically, understanding, because we understand at our level a lot of the intricacies of how these matchups go, and we can make very, very educated assumptions on how it is going to go. Sometimes we're just wrong, man. Like sometimes it just goes completely out the window and crazy stuff happens. And I mean, I love it personally, except when I'm playing, but I love seeing it, right?
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, that's the beauty about Age of Empires 4. I love so much is just, yes, things are often favored to certain Civ, but the game is so dynamic, things are happening all the time that really anything can happen. And even if you look at game 2, I think, the Rus versus Golden Horde game, you put somebody in position of VortiX going to Age 3 against Beasty, who was barely alive at that point. Most people would say, oh, the game's over, VortiX just needs to move into his base, but Beasty, amazing defense, brought us into a 40-minute game in that situation. So, I mean, I'm excited to see what VortiX has to bring here. Possibly even Tower of Victory. I mean, it did get buffed, right? Could show us something different as well.
Have you played around much with the new Tower of Victory?
A little bit, I would say. I think it's better in certain situations, like where you want to go ultras anyway, like against French, for example, Knights, John Dark possibly, just because the Ghazi are not as good.
Yeah, it's a weird one. Like, To me, it feels still quite a bit worse than Dome. Like just not having the prelates feels so painful to me, honestly. Like it's so hard to play, I think. But on hybrid maps, especially, I would say that probably Tower Victory is definitely to be considered more than Dome. Not that Delhi sees too much play on hybrid maps, but every once in a while we see it on Frasier, and we saw it on Kawasan today as well, right? That's another map where they can sometimes be played. Because obviously, if you have most of your food sorted, then you can afford to have a few extra on gold and pay full price for prelates, for scholars, excuse me, and not risk falling too behind in blacksmith timing because of eco, because of how slow the techs come in, right? That's what I think, but yeah.
I mean, you're saving 50 gold for each skull, which means after 3 skulls, the blacksmith itself is going to be like you're going to get an advantage having dome, right? It's going to pay for itself.
Yeah.
But you do get the attack speed from the ultras, and Delhi in particular is a very tempo-based civ. The fact that you have that blacksmith instead of having to build it does mean something, especially if you're trying to get those sacred sites. And I would say with Tower Victory in particular, you really do need to get those sacred sites because otherwise you're not going to be able to afford skulls. You're not going to be able to age up. Like with Dome, you can probably go for more defensive strats where you mine a little bit more gold than trying to get on the map, right?
Yeah, I think so as well. And here in particular, Tower of Victory seems to make the most sense to me because you're not out tempoing Jushi as Delhi, I think, right? And 2 sites is probably not worth it for Dome either. But if you get a nice Steeled Arrow timing or an Undermesh timing up against Zuganu, maybe there's something there around the timing of that first fight. We're gonna have to go and see because this is VortiX's last chance in the Elite Classic 4 in the round of 8. He's going to rely on the Delhi to get him out of this rut in the color red up against Beasty Jushi, the color yellow, spawning in the south side of Coastal Cliffs. And we've been a bit doom and gloom about VortiX in this matchup, particularly for what could be his last game in this tournament. But again, you just never know. We've seen so many upsets in certain matchups, not only for players, but also in Civilization matchups that I don't want to jinx anything and predict either way, personally.
Yeah, me neither. And to be fair, I would say Delhi in particular is one of VorTex's very strong civs. Keep in mind, the Tower Victory build that was popularized, I would say maybe a year or two ago, probably 2 years ago at this point, was, I want to say coined by VorTex and Luciferon, where you would build a skull while you age up. I kind of want to see that this game. It would be kind of cool to see that. And if we do see that, then we kind of know what we're in store for. I don't know, Myriad, are you familiar with the Tower of Victory build that they did? I don't know how much you were playing the game back then, but oh, okay. Oh, okay, I see. All right, that's fine. Beasty is probably going for the tower right now. I mean, that's very expected with Zushi right now, so we should see that. We should see Girl Scouts as well. The thing is, with this map in particular, again in this matchup in particular, there's just no reason to not do that, right? Against Delhi, why would you ever go Fast Castle? Why would you ever go 2TC? We just have no other reason not to. And it is going to be Tower Victory, as we were mentioning. Tower Victory from Delhi against Zushi. And with this build, we should see one skull being produced by Delhi as you age up, so that you only need to build one mosque. Because if you build 2 mosques, that's, you don't want to, you want to be building that into production immediately.
Yeah.
If you're saving wood on a mosque, if you're saving wood on a blacksmith, that's resources that can be spent on units.
Yeah, exactly. And especially when it comes to the timing on those first sites, especially, it feels so important for VortiX to make sure he gets them, at least one, but ideally two, and also a good fight while he's at it. I mean, he needs so much, I think, in this matchup for it to work out. Are we going to stop after that first Scholar, right? Because that's how it is classically. That's how it was played back in the day. Might still be the case now, because, I mean, you could, in theory, just stay on gold, right? And slowly add Scholars, I guess. But problem is, you only have the one mosque, so you need to get the upgrades. I mean, maybe there's a world where you go on gold after you get Sanctity, maybe, but I don't know.
Yeah, I was asking you that exact question, was were you around with that build? Because that was a super popular build by the Spanish brothers in particular, right?
What was it? Can you remind me?
Just the 2 skull build with Tower Victory. You build the skull while you age up, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Like back in the day, that was sort of the standard for Tower of Victory, right? Before Dome got buffed. Yeah, I remember.
Although, keeping in mind, if you look at the way VortiX done this build, he doesn't actually have the gold to build the skull. So he's building it, so he's not going to be able to build it and get Sanctity, right? Which is kind of a slight mistake. Like, he could be getting Sanctity at the moment, but he has to build that skull.
Yeah, that's why, like for this build in particular, you want to go up to 3 in the Dark Age to make sure you get the Scholar before Feudal, right? And it seems like he just forgot to do that, right? Which is exactly what happened to me the first time I tried the new tower, because that's how it was. But like, you need that third one to make sure you don't idle Sanctity. So definitely not the start he wants in this matchup, especially.
Yeah, and Beasty, again, we're going to be seeing Pro Scouts, we're going to be seeing heavy feudal commitment, which means, I mean, this is exactly the kind of game that we were talking about, right? This is to be expected.
Yeah, precisely. First Ghazi is going to hit the field, of course, even though it is Tower of Victory, you kind of still want to open with Ghazi, right? I mean, it's such a great unit for Delhi, able to get map control nice and early, of course, and the main thing is, I think, that Delhi always opens Ghazi as the healing, right? The possibility that you can always top them up, even if the opponent, even against Dark Age, we see Delhi opening Ghazi, which is pretty funny.
Yeah. I think also the fact is with Delhi, because you're staying feudal age for basically, I mean, most of the game that's important, you're going to be going every unit in the game anyway. Ultra, Spearman, Ghazi. So, yeah, and we see that commitment into Spearman now, and he actually decides to put the Skull into Spearman. So we're going to see heavier Spearman commitment than Ghazi commitment at this point.
Yeah. Which, I don't know, man. Like, actually, I think it makes sense. I'm pretty sure with Dali horses, like, the regular horsemen just straight up win against the Ghazi, right?
I think that's the case, but also keep in mind, Beasty's also going Spearman, right? So if you can catch up in Spearman production with efficient production, I think, you know, because you're producing faster, right? So the fact is, it's nice to have the Spearman advantage because you don't want to be fighting just Ghazi into Spearman. I mean, that doesn't make sense, right?
Yeah, and at the end of the day, right, it's useful against the likely raids later on as well. No. Very lucky to happen. And I mean, you get the extra attack speed, right, on the Spearman as well. It's easy to forget. Obviously, it's not nearly as valuable as the Archers, but I mean, on Spear especially is going to make a pretty big difference for sure.
100%. And VortiX, again, going for that tri-comp. As we mentioned, it's basically assumed at this point. He hasn't had to build that Blacksmith. He hasn't had to build that double Mosque. So the timing here is very important for VortiX. I mean, he wants to be getting those 2 Sacred Sites immediately.
That's going to be the goal. With Sanctity only a few seconds out now, we should be seeing the Scholars start to move out. Nice little pickup on the Scout, surrounds it, snatches it, and escapes with Ghazi's mostly intact. Two of them took a few bolts.
Yeah, and VortiX has done a very good job at denying Beasty, you know, easy access to that gear. On top of getting a few picks here and there. He's actually going to get maybe one more Spearman. I don't think he's going to try to go for the second, but, you know, every bit counts, especially in these tempo games where Delhi wants to get those Sacred Sites immediately, right?
Yeah, these are really valuable picks early on, right? Even just a spearman here and there for traded for some Ghazi health is so good. What hurts a little bit, right, is typically, you can afford to take a lot of damage and then pull back and heal under the dome with 5 scholars, maybe even more. You don't have that luxury. Ooh, okay, picks up 1. That could have went way worse for VortiX there, but makes a slippery escape. What I was saying is, you don't have as many scholars, right? So you cannot heal at the same rate as you normally would. So you might have gotten good trades, but if ultimately you can't actually fight at the sites because your units are too damaged, then you're in big trouble.
100%, and you can even see here, because of he doesn't have so many scholars, and we are taking a fight, which is not good for Beasty, but because he doesn't have so many scholars, you can't take both Sacred Sites at once, and I mean, this is a really good start for VortiX, I want to say. This is exactly what he needs to do to win this kind of matchup.
The timing as well, with the undermesh, this is exactly what VortiX has been looking for, although massive reinforcements coming in from Beasty, from the Jugnan, and suddenly what looked like a good fight is disaster.
Yeah, and that's just the armies coming in. I mean, VortiX probably saw like, wow, this is an amazing fight for me. Beasty doesn't have that mass, and then boom, 6 more units come, and you can't take that fight anymore.
Yeah, it's insane, honestly. But here we go. I mean, it wasn't that bad, actually, for VortiX, and he makes an escape right when he needs to. Just a slight value lead there for Beasty, who's going to look to secure this western side of his base, which, I mean, it's a great place to secure. You got the berries, the boar, gold as well later, relic as well for good measure, and naturally the second wood line.
Yeah, and I expect, I mean, there's nothing other for these players to be doing other than just playing Feudal Age. I mean, Beasty still has pro scouts. He still wants to get access to Vortex's Deer. I mean, that's the option. That's the goal. That's the option on top of denying Sacred Sites here. And I mean, it's just going to be a feudal game, and it's really going to come down to who takes the better fights here. Because if you're taking a bad fight in Feudal Age on either side, I mean, it's just game deciding.
100%, for sure. For such military temple-based civilizations, it's all about these trades. Gonna find the scouts getting cheeky on his deer. He's gonna take one out immediately. Has to be so careful. There's a few horsemen there in the mix from Beasty, and the Ghazis are mostly away. He's gonna look for a wraparound from behind. He gets a pretty decent angle. The spearmen are finally pulled back, although there's so much bleeding here from VortiX near the archers. The palace guards and the horsemen getting some great picks, and now the Ghazi go through the Zuganu as well.
Yeah, and VortiX looking for the spearmen. He really needs these spearmen to be gone because the Ghazi is really the only thing VortiX has an advantage in this fight. And with that being said, he is taking out the spearmen, and the Ghazi are going to me, looks like clean up this fight.
Yeah, that's such a mess of a fight. But it looks like it paid off for VortiX, just removing the spearman threat. And of course, the palace guards are not going to do great against these Ghazis with their... I mean, they have the move speed and they have normal armor, but I mean, it's just the extra damage from the Ghazi, and the mass, of course, is an issue. So all in all, I think that was good for VortiX, but there's a bigger problem.
Yeah, there is. I mean, I didn't expect Beasty to go for Castle Age this fast, but that's what we're seeing, and I mean, I'm not even sure how this game turns out, because does Beasty actually have the eco to pump out a lot of knights, a lot of palace guards? Can VortiX defend that amount? I mean, it doesn't look like Beasty has that much more food available to him, but that wall actually is crucial to securing that boar, so maybe he does. Oh, he doesn't have that wall finished yet.
Oh, yeah, I think VortiX, the one villager kill, I think he might have snatched it on that wall earlier on, right? I think that's probably what happened there. Or the bull. Or the wolf. Oh, God, happens, right? Yeah, I mean, the castle timing, right? It almost feels slightly unnecessary, I want to say, because I just don't think Delhi can compete in feudal, honestly, especially the longer it goes with Jushi. So why not just keep the pressure up, right?
I would tend to agree. I mean, Beasty is still in a fine spot, though. I mean, the thing is, right, he's fighting Feudal Age units against Feudal Age units. Yes, he has that one knight, but besides that, I mean, this is just a Feudal Age fight, which not something Beasty really wants to take, considering he's in Castle Age, right? Although at the same time, as I'm saying that, he's beating VortiX, so you know.
Yeah, he sacrificed a lot of the Zugadu there, but he just completely brute forced the push through there with the few lances making the difference. Of course, only now VortiX reinvested into some spears, and the Zuganu and Lancer combination is just so effective for Zhu Shi here, and this is a really tough position for VortiX, honestly, because I mean, this is a classic, right? You're an age down, and you just do not really have a window to age up here because you're forced to continuously reinvest into units. Doing a good job of stopping the side decaps, though.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, this is VortiX. Like, if VortiX doesn't win this game, he's out of the Week Classic 4, which, you know, VortiX. It's never nice to be out in the round of 8 as a top 8 player. You always want to go for the end, and I mean, VortiX has shown us again and again that he can make that situation. He can be in the finals. He can win tournaments, and it's a tough position for him to be in right now.
So what's going to be the follow-up is the question for now. It's just more and more units, more scholars as well being actively produced. So he's going to play it safe, I want to say, because this is the safe option, right? That you just keep investing and hope to take another good fight, maybe find some damage. And with the scholars, he's going to be in a better position to do so. He has most of his important upgrades now. He's still missing Bloomery, although that's a lot of lances.
Yeah, I think he has no other option to continue fighting, but I think this fight in particular is very, very optimistic. I mean, he just doesn't have the spearmen to take these knights, and I mean, VortiX has to be taking better fights than this, right? Because he has to get to Castle Edge somehow. Like,
it really does, and it's looking less and less likely, I want to say here. More spin reinforcements coming in. I'm surprised even archers are still being produced by VortiX, honestly. I mean, it's Tower of Victory, so I guess he kind of has to get value from it, but ideally you'd rather play Spearman as well as Ghazi here to deal with Lancers and Zuganu when you're an age down, but it's slipping, I think, slowly. Forced to retreat yet again, more and more scholars. One horseman discovers the berry mover, picks up one villager, but villagers man up and are able to take down the horseman.
yeah, and if you check the villager count, and you check the villager's death, I mean, VortiX is idle for 2 minutes at this point, so there's a wide... Yeah, it's a tough situation. I think VortiX is feeling the stress at this point. I mean, this is it, right? Like, he's got no other option but to win this game, and he's trapped in Feudal Age as Delhi. Like, even if you get to Castle Age, yes, he's building up the skulls now, but it's still quite a while for him to actually get those upgrades at this point.
Dali horse is now on the way as well for Beasty, and he finds a very juicy raid indeed on this wood line. One goes down, two goes down, make that a third, and huge idle time when VortiX cannot afford it.
Yeah, I mean, VortiX is trying to push again, but this army... I mean, we're looking at a Beasty who's in Age 3 and has... without the skulls, right? And the skulls are not going to be fighting at this point. Has a higher army value than VortiX. So he's trying to be aggressive, but... I mean, if he doesn't win this fight, there's really not that much that's going for him at this point.
And how is he going to win it, right? I mean, even here, and this is not all of Beasty's army. Granted, it's not all of VortiX's army as well, but it is most of it. Lance is still causing distraction behind this, and the Zuganu. Do we have bolt magazines yet? It kind of looks like they're shooting a bit farther away, but I'm not sure. Yeah, we do, right? I think the extra half a range there means that it's going to be even easier for Beasty to snipe out the spearman.
Yeah, and I mean, that's exactly what he needs to do, snipe the spearman, right? That's all he needs to do with the knights here. And I mean, Beasty is taking this fight, VortiX is taking this fight, and again, it's just really hard to see VortiX winning in any situation here. I mean, Beasty's just doing such a great job of forcing the fight again and again, and that's it. Beasty takes the series against VortiX 4-1. Beasty advances, and VortiX falls out of the Elite Classic 4.
Massive victory here for Beasty, overcoming VortiX at the most important point in the elimination phase here at the Elite Classic 4. And what a victory this is. Pretty one-sided as well, right? I mean, 4-1. That's a great victory right there for Beasty, especially when these two have been so evenly matched historically. So Beasty's going to be pretty happy with himself here for sure.
Yeah, and he should be. I mean, he played very great games. I think his draft was very nice. His games were very nice, especially after that Roost game. Kind of got himself together, and yeah, he really just impressive set from him, I think.
He played so solid, right? It was very well executed. Some great planning as well throughout the series. Around drafting as well, he had some great matchups lined up in this series and really seemed to understand what VortiX is going for and his game plans in most situations. And to top it all off in this final game, I mean, this is exactly the case you want to be in when you're one game away from closing out the series. When you end up with such a favorable matchup, I mean, it feels incredibly good.
It does. I mean, it really does, because I mean, you need one match and you're getting an insane matchup. So all you have to do is just focus completely on doing exactly what you need to do. And Beasty was on point with everything. Like, I mean, usually you see some mistakes, and that's kind of what people often point to a lot, the mistakes. But when you don't see those mistakes is when you know somebody's playing very, very well.
Yeah, exactly. And looks like we got a hint of what's to come there, with just a little flash of Beasty's face. We are going to have an interview with Beasty, so just bear with us while we make that happen.
Before that, though, this guy in chat says this guy in voice sounds like he could lose to Marino 3-0. And just keep in mind, by the way, we're talking to somebody who already lost 3-0 to him. Like, I beat him 3-0 previously, right? So, yeah, just keep that in mind. So even if it does go, it goes both ways.
That's right. Keep that in mind, guys. Keep that in mind.
And yes, the game's always very close. So
yeah, it's like we talked about this before as well, right? Like, maybe an argument could be made, for example, last weekend, in I think it was the final day of group stage, Beasty had a bit of a rough day, right? I think he actually he had a decent day because he lost against Lucifron, but then he beat Puppy, right? So that's, one win, one loss is okay. But this weekend he's looked incredible, right? And that just goes to show how, and I'm sure you'd agree with this, day by day it's so different, right? The way you feel and the way you play, and it's you. I think we spoke about this before, but I don't remember exactly. Do you know, do you know the moment you wake up whether it's sort of a good day or not, or do you sort of have to first play a game and then you know?
Yeah, I mean, I would say most of the time, I kind of have a feeling. Like, because I think against Marino, I was not feeling the best, right? And on top of that, if you actually look at the King of the Hill game, this guy has a Marino spawn. His gold is in the back of his base. His wood is always in the back, but he gets the best spawn of all time. And my stone is in, like, the front of my base. And I'm like, what is going on here? Like, I used to think BC was coping with the Marino spawns, but I'm like, I think there's something about that,
It's how you become champion, man. Just spawn better. That's all I can say. Yeah, it's what can you do? But it sounds like we do have the interview ready. So, any moment now, we're going to replace Wham's face with Beasty's momentarily, at least. And Beasty, how you doing? Congratulations on a stunning victory. Very impressive. 4-1 as well. That's gotta feel good.
Thank you. Yeah, especially with how this week went. Like, I lost every single series I practiced, so I was like, I don't know what happened from last week to this week, but yeah, the game just didn't go my way, so I was like, yeah, I'm not really feeling like it's going to be too good for me, but I was very happy with my draft. Starting from when I saw what he banned and what I banned, I feel like from then on, it was like a pretty good series for me long term, I think.
Yeah, the draft was quite interesting because, I mean, I have to question this, right? Like the opening game, what possessed you to let Ottoman through?
I don't know. I don't know. I was like thinking maybe I could cook something up, but I was like, yeah. You know, every once in a while you don't play against a Civ, and you're like, it's not that bad. And then you let it through, and you're like, yeah, that's what we've been at. Never mind. So, yeah, I feel like it was fine because that way I can just ban permanently something else. Because I knew he's going to pick Ottoman every game. Like, you know, so then I'll be maybe forced into matchups. So I was like, if I let it through, and even if I lose, then I'll have more options long term. So yeah, and I felt like I have a pretty good draft. So even though China is like super strong Civ, I didn't feel like if I lose with China, it's really bad for me or anything like that. So yeah,
That's an important detail, right? Because, you know, every game is obviously important, right, at the end of the day, but it's important to think long term and have that confidence in your draft. And well, hopefully the confidence is backed up by the fact that the draft is actually good, which obviously in this case it was, but sometimes it's not the case in other series with other players, right? And, you know, got to make sure that you don't get distracted or disheartened by one sort of bad matchup in the opening set, and keep that good mentality going forward, right?
yeah. I mean, I was like, I'm playing China and I'm spamming units, and he just has like so much more. Then my Lancers come out and Sipahi killed him, and I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. So I was like, okay, you know, what can I do against Sipahi? You know, like you just die. So I was like, all right, we just go next. So, like I said, if you gotta lose, at least you lose to the OP Civ, right? So, like, I think it feels a lot worse when you pick like China and then you lose to, you know, English or something, and you're like, oh god, this is a disaster. So, yeah,
Yeah,
no, it's what it is.
yeah, who would lose with China against English, right? It's yeah.
Oh
So
no.
it's fine. I know what went wrong, but I was gonna ask: is it? That's funny. It's a case of. I was wondering, did this play on your mind a little bit, right? Because the other option was JD, which you sniped out. Did this play on your mind a little bit? Because we saw last week Marino actually lose with China, and obviously Marino's China is just incredible. Even more than most of his other saves, I would say, because he's such a defensive master, right? And he lost to VortiX, and VortiX is JD, and it was honestly kind of convincing. Pretty one-sided. VortiX played that impeccably. Did that play on your mind a little bit, also as the reason why to let through Ottomans instead? Or was it just the fact to remove the pressure?
He picked Ottoman first, and then I picked China and Jushi, and then he picked JD. So, like, obviously, he feels very confident into like playing JD into China slash Jushi. So I was like, yeah, maybe we don't play that, because it's one thing if you lose to Ottoman, but it's another thing if he picks a JD that's like not a top tier civ, and then you lose one of the best civs to it. So yeah, like I said, I kind of felt like long term my draft is good, so I was like, yeah, I'll just let Ottoman through and see what happens. What happened with that villager there? Did you see that? How did that villager get
Yeah,
out?
did he? Maybe I don't know if we can go back just for a second time, because I thought he shifted his scouts just a little bit, and that allowed your villager to escape. Yeah, if we're able to play from this point, he must have moved, right?
No, he was moving left and right, but my question is, how did he get out? I never seen that before. Look, he's clearly stuck, right? And then he just walks through my scout. Yeah, I was just like, whoa.
That is strange, isn't it? Like he didn't move the scouts, like he just simply moved out. That's so strange. I haven't seen that before.
I'm
Well,
gonna
it worked
report.
out. It worked out for him then, but you know, that must have been a bit tilting, right? The villager escaping.
I was surprised that he was sending out a villager, but then when that happened, I was like, okay, I guess he knows how to get out of that, because I did not know that's a thing. So I don't know if that's a thing, or I don't know what happened. Actually, I have to cook on that. But I mean, still, he spent a lot of wood, a lot of like idle time and stuff like that. So I think it was okay.
Yeah, it was actually looking very scary at around this point for you, right? Because you're forced to call in the militia. You're losing quite a few warrior monks to the archers because of the huge damage, right? And he had so many. But then he does a dive after this, which I mean, I didn't think you were dead, but I think you would take quite a lot of damage. But actually, wasn't that much damage, and he lost a lot of units under that dive. We're gonna probably see the moment quite soon. How did you feel about it? Like when he actually went underneath the TC, were you like, "Oh no, like it's happening," or were you like, "I can hold this"?
I mean, this game you could like really see VortiX's micro. Like it was so annoying. Like I couldn't engage with the army, and every time I go, I just feel like I'm losing units. But then if I stay back, I'm just losing units anyway. Um, but yeah, it was kind of weird. But I scouted his stockyard, so I knew he's like very committed and he must do something because I was already on quite a bit of farms, I think. So I knew he has to push, and I was just kind of waiting for the dive. And basically, if at that point you hold, you're in a really good spot. But like after that, he again microed so well that the game just kept going, which I was just like, kind of like it's not supposed to go like this. I'm supposed to win now, but he just kept microing his heart out.
It might have been just a case of a tiny bit of tunnel vision, right? Which is so easy in these high stakes series because you try to just end him by staying on under the TC, but obviously he had villages on the flanks that you could have probably targeted instead, and that might have been one of the reasons why it took a bit longer. But it's so difficult to think of everything in these moments during the heat of the game, so it's completely understandable. Is it a matchup that you've practiced before? Rus against Golden Hordes, or?
I mean, not specifically, but I've played the matchup, so I felt pretty good about it. But again, it's like even with the early start with like archers AFKing on my Kremlin and denying food, I was like, Jesus, I can't even get the food under Kremlin. But I played it before. I think if you hold that big attack, it's very good for you. And like the moment I started raiding, I feel like most of my games when I start raiding, I end up winning shortly after. So yeah, when I got the horsemen out and started flanking, I felt pretty good.
Now to House of Lancaster against JD on King of the Hill. This was interesting from the get go because Wham and I were talking about this. I struggled to kind of see an effective win condition here for JD specifically because, I mean, it feels like to me, like 2TC is kind of an obvious play here for you to go for his Lancaster, right? It just makes perfect sense because of the map and just the way the matchup goes. You ideally just want to defend and not fight JD, especially not out in the open, so might as well go 2TC. But it feels like what he did is kind of the only option he has, which is get a relatively fast castle and get that site captured immediately and then get the keep. But the timing here was impeccable, right? Were you kind of sensing that a keep is coming, or did you just think, okay, I have a good army here, maybe I can probably push out and see if I can look for a good fight?
I was worried about Guildhall because I didn't see the archers until this point, so I lost my scout really early, so I had no idea how much he's committing to units. So I was worried that there's going to be Red Palace on it. So I was like, okay, I should probably push out. I mean, I think JD just has very bad eco for holding the sacred sites, and I think in this matchup, if you open with the landmark, I don't know what's it called, the tower one, I think it's very hard for JD to do anything. And then if you can't do anything, you just have a free 2TC, and he can't really scale his eco or like go fast castle like Ayubit or something. So. Yeah, and because I lost the scout, I didn't know if he's all-inning me because just before I lost the scout, I saw double stable. So I was like, yeah, I'm already ahead. I'll just drop a white tower so I don't just die to mass knights or something like that. And from then on out, I should be pretty good.
This game was also a bit of a firecracker. I mean, the spearman must have been as big of a surprise to you in the Dark Age as it was to us, right?
Yeah, so I'm pretty sure he thought I would Dark Age. I think that's why I mean, I'm not sure, but I think opening spears against KT doesn't make any sense unless you think they're gonna barracks also. So I think he just went for barracks, maybe because his berries were forward. And when I saw his stone, I was very confused, and I saw his villagers on the gold were very, very late. So I knew he opened barracks, and I was like, okay, I'll just make a tower in my stone, and I'll go to TC anyway. So, Yeah, I just felt like from the get-go that I'm in a really, really good spot because of that. And um, it was kind of like, just don't do something dumb to throw the game, because that was already a pretty good lead.
Yeah, I felt like it as well. I mean, that's an interesting idea that he might have expected you to go Dark Age, which makes sense. It's something Katie did in the past a lot against Byzantines, and obviously Byzantines is always very vulnerable to that, right? So it's something they got to worry about. I would have thought is just to be very annoying on your stone to deny a potential second DC, which, yeah, is an idea, but like you said, you can drop the tower and it makes it quite difficult to really find any significant value. And then Byzantines just have such a hard time going spares, right? I mean, they're more expensive on the food. They have to make assistance or more idle time on the villager. They start with less wood as well. So it's a tough
I
one.
mean, he went on gold, right? Like, he didn't even try to deny stone for a while. So he was just sitting on my mining camp. So I don't know if he didn't. I mean, I just did like 2 TCs in a row. So I don't know if he didn't expect him to go 2 TC with KT. I'm not really sure, actually. But yeah, I felt like pretty good lead. And I was just trying to see if he's going like javelin or longbows. And when I saw javelins, I was like, okay. I mean, it is what it is. Got some map control. I actually got a lot of gold from my pilgrims. I don't know if he was missing them or he just didn't bother denying them, but I think I got like over 1K with the one guy, so that was really, really good.
That's big for sure. Pays off for itself without a doubt. And I was going to ask one more question about that game, but that's, I guess it was an obvious answer, kind of. But moving on to, oh, okay, never mind. I was going to say, you intentionally sacked the TC, right? Which I think was a very wise decision because, and I'm sure that's why you did it. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think you probably thought you just simply don't have enough to actually defend it successfully. Or even if you defend it successfully, it would cost you probably a whole army and a lot of villages, right? And then it's very tricky.
I mean, I feel like the second DC paid off in terms of how many villagers I got already. And I don't like fighting into the rams, because sometimes your units like run into the fire or something, and I don't know, it can get pretty awkward. So I was like, yeah, if I lose the TC, I already kind of gathered the deer out. We can just play 1 TC versus 1 TC, because he also doesn't have cisterns level 5. So,
Yeah,
like, not
good
only,
point.
even if he had cisterns level 5 on my head, but he didn't have them. So I was like, yeah, I'm in a good enough spot. And I had so many sheep under my TC, so I was like, I can just wait a bit longer. But he started like moving his army, in that like way that someone's going castle. So the moment I saw that he was trying to leave my base. So I kept like intercepting between the possible reinforcements and the main army. And when I saw he's like trying to actually get out, I tried to get engaged, because I didn't know how fast the castle was gonna hit.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. And this game, I mean, Wham and I were, there's a funny moment, you can watch it back if you want, where we see the matchup appear, Delhi against Jushi, and both Wham and I go, ooh, at the same time, because I don't know how you feel about this, but historically this has felt like borderline impossible for Delhi during Pro Scout. But nowadays, I think with the way Jushi works today, the new Jangnan Tower, I would say it's probably even worse than before, right?
Yeah, I mean, I when he picked it, I was surprised, but then I looked at the other Sims, and I don't know what he could pick. Like, I picked French and Jushi's Legacy, and he had, so I was going to veto Macedonia no matter what. So he had Japanese, Mongol, Sengoku, and Delhi. And I think all those are pretty bad into the 2 I picked. So what I'm surprised about is that he let Jushi through. I thought maybe he'll play against French, but because I think French against Delhi is not that bad. But yeah, when I saw that, I was like, okay, he either has something very, unique cooking, or it's gonna be a classic Jushi versus Delhi. So
Yeah, and there was a moment there, because you went Tower of Victory, right? Which I think, especially on this map, it's probably the better choice. Not that it feels great out the way, just because it's so difficult, I would say. But there was an initial moment there where he took a couple of nice early trades, and it was looking like maybe there's something brewing in his favor. And then the reinforcements from Jiangnan just come in, and it's like you just suddenly have a way bigger army again, and that was pretty funny.
It's just rough. Like, he also has no chance of aging up because he has no scholars, so he can't get the upgrades. And I feel like maybe after the 3 2TC games, maybe he just felt like, I want to fight in feudal. Like, I don't want to play 2TC or longer games. And I just massed units. I mean, it's a pretty favorable matchup, so you don't really need to do much.
What did surprise me just a little bit is sort of the speed of your castle timing, which obviously worked out well, and you're able to leverage it excellently. But Wham and I were discussing this as well. Like, I feel like it's almost unnecessary because, in my opinion, at least, like your feudal is just way stronger as Yushi, and probably only gets better the longer it goes. Do you disagree with that, or did you think that it's a good window to go castle age and get sort of even more ahead and kill him easier than just staying feudal, or what's the philosophy?
I took a lot of his deer. I don't know how many, but I think I took like 5 maybe. So I felt like he's kind of running out of food. He has to go out on the map, and I didn't really feel like he can counterattack because we just traded armies like in front of his base. So I felt like even if he pushes, I mean, I had double stable, I could just crank out knights. He had no spearmen, so even 2 knights would like push him back completely. And then he went spearmen. I wasn't sure if he was going to like try to age up or not, so I was super focused on knight production. And then when I saw like, okay, there's a lot of spearmen, I just upgraded Suginu and got +2, and then it's kind of over. But yeah, I feel like with Jushi, you can like make a few mistakes and then still win afterwards. So yeah, it's just a very good matchup, I think.
And it worked out brilliantly for sure. I mean, a 4-1 victory is pretty decisive, and you played excellently today, Beasty. So congratulations yet again. Of course, tomorrow you will be facing Lucifron. So you've dispatched one brother. There's another to go, the older one. So I mean, it's a tough one, right? I'm sure Lucifron's gonna definitely want to look to avenge his brother, and I'm sure you won't mind me saying it's been a little difficult against Lucifron for you specifically lately, right? Some
for sure.
tough series.
I mean, stats don't lie, right? But
feeling confident?
I mean, I'll make a plan and I'll go with it. But like, I think I had pretty bad record against VortiX too. And then at the Homestead Cup, I ended up like winning pretty convincingly, and now it was a 4-1. And I haven't played Lucifron in a really long time, so I kind of felt like he has his own style almost, right? So I was like, I don't really know like how to approach this, but at the same time, I feel like my playstyle has changed too now. So I think it's going to be interesting to see how it goes. I think the meta changed quite a bit, so I don't look at past results and I go like, oh damn, the last 3 times he beat me or whatever. Like I don't really pay attention to that. I don't really care about that. So it's just a new series, new game and new patch, new meta. I'm gonna pick Jin tomorrow, and
Is that a promise?
No.
You gotta put it in writing? Yeah, I thought so.
If I misclick it, I'll pick it. How about that?
If what?
If I misclick it, I'll pick it.
There you go. Just forget you're in draft. It randoms, and it's like a dice over the Yushi pick, over a Jin pick. Like
But yeah, I think it's gonna be a fun series. Like they have a somewhat similar style, but not really anymore. I think they both play very, very aggressive, but I'm excited to see how it goes, and should be a good series.
I'm as well. I can't wait. Some incredible series coming up still. Yours, of course, being one of them. So, yeah, I can't wait to see what you guys cook up, and it should be a great, great series. But yeah, I'm sure you're eager to get some rest. And yeah, once again, congratulations and well done. Can't wait to see you tomorrow.
Bye-bye.